Hello and welcome to the United Stand. I don't know why Flex is ringing me because I told him we were going live. Tough, Flex. You've missed your opportunity there. But what a day! What a day it's been. Back from Manchester. You saw me outside Old Trafford. Loads to talk about. Zidane apparently is being reported as being our next manager in the next 48 hours. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is favourite to be an interim manager. Laurent Blanc's been linked. Pochettino apparently wants the job. What's going on with Paul Pogba? Gary Neville's gone on him. Was he right to do that? Was he wrong to do that? What's the future for the likes of Lukaku, Fellaini and Matic? What's the future for Manchester United? Are you feeling positive? Are you feeling still angry with the board? Happy with the board? So much to discuss. We will be live. We will be taking your calls, obviously, and we'll be having guests on. We've got, I think Drawty's going to come on. We've got Flex coming on. I think Rance is going to come on. So we've got loads and loads to talk about. I'm just going to start on a recap, really, because we've been through this journey. Some of you wanted Mourinho gone for right from the start. If you're Andrew Ellis, a lot of you from Sevilla, you were telling me you're wrong. He's never going to change. I backed him through the summer. After the West Ham game, I was Mourinho out. Some of you still stayed with him, and I think in recent weeks, it's just only 24 hours ago we were saying the club aren't going to sack him because we're a bank account. We're not a football club. And then this morning we get this great news. I was going to Manchester today because I just had a funny feeling. And no, I didn't really. I was going to Manchester today anyway. And I had an appointment at 10 o'clock with the Sportsman, which was something I was going to do anyway. And I got in for about 9 o'clock. And I just walked down to the Christmas market, put a picture up and said, here I am in Manchester. And then I went to get myself a coffee. And I'm sat... I was messaging Drawty actually, and just about to leave at about 9:45, and I thought I'll have a quick look on Twitter, and Simon Stone, the BBC journalist, was there saying Jose gone. I didn't need to check anything else. Simon Stone's a credible journalist with the BBC. He's very good with Manchester United, and I was like, he's gone. He's gone. And straight on the phone, obviously went live, instant reaction, then got in a cab to Old Trafford with the Sportsman to do the little bit outside there, which you can see on the channel as well. It's a shame I couldn't go live here and do what we're doing now, but we've got it at the end of the day. But I'm on cloud nine. I'm on cloud nine. To be honest with you, I'm absolutely ecstatic. And just very quickly on the Solskjaer rumours, let's get Solskjaer and Zidane, because Solskjaer can just do a better job than Lukaku up front anyway. So we can have him as the striker and get Zidane in. But yeah, look, absolutely elated by this news. And look, I know, and it's quite right, and I'm really pleased that there's a lot of people speaking well of Jose Mourinho. He's not our manager anymore. I wish him no harm. I wish him no bad will. He's a human being. Apparently he's very surprised that he's been sacked, and he's very sad that he hasn't had a chance to turn it round. I don't feel sorry for him for that. I don't publicly go on the United Stand and say he should have been sacked weeks ago if I don't think he should be sacked. There's not an ounce of regret in my body about Mourinho feeling sad that he's been sacked or feeling surprised by it. If he's surprised by it, it just shows how naive he's been. His handling of the situation. He's lost the players, he's lost the fans, the football was bad, and we're in an embarrassing position. And to top it all off, you embarrassed us in front of our biggest rivals at the weekend. That's sack. That's bye. And that should be sort of written in stone at Manchester United. If you lose the fans, you play crap football, and you get as embarrassed at Anfield, then you should be sacked. You do those three things, you're automatically sacked. It should be in the contract. So I don't feel sorry for him for that. I feel sorry for him as a human being being sacked, but, he's a failure at Manchester United. That is a blunt line. He's a failure at Manchester United, and that's why he's being sacked. If he can go and build a career elsewhere, fine, that's great. If he ends up at Real Madrid manager and people start saying we shouldn't have got rid of him, they're idiots. He was never turning this situation around at Manchester United. And he may well still have a career elsewhere, but he was never turning this situation around at Manchester United. The board made the right decision. He'd lost the fans, the football was crap, the players were lost, and it was time to move on. And Jose Mourinho goes down for me. The debate with Mourinho, and maybe somebody wants to call in and speak about this, the debate with Mourinho is where does he rank in Moyes and Van Gaal? And I'll need some time to assess that, but we'll maybe talk about that a little bit later. In fact, I'll take a note about it as well. But let's talk about where United go from here. It's funny because, as I said, we've been called the negative stand recently. That ends for me. If you lot want to carry it on, that's fine. I wasn't happy about what was going on with Pogba this afternoon. Sergio Hernandez says Pochettino for manager, attacking football is needed. Remember, get your super chats in, but make sure you give us a comment on the $ if you want a shout out there. But we will be reading some of your comments. Robbie was gutted, Mark says Jazz Deal. Look, rival fans are gutted. Absolutely gutted. And that, for me, is the biggest endorsement of what United have done today. Because when rival fans are happy that Fellaini's staying and happy that Mourinho's our manager, you know, much like I was with Wenger, they know that we're nothing with those players and that manager. They're now worried because United have sorted their problem out quickly, relatively quickly. I still think they should have done it a little bit sooner. LB says, it's so nice to hear you upbeat again, Mark. Look, I really want to underline that. I backed Mourinho for a long time. Get too long, some would say, but it's over now. We're not the negative stand, we're the United stand. We've had a lot of good times and we've had a lot of bad times. But for me, I want to talk about the board at some point, but I'm not even interested in talking about the board now. This is about whatever you think about the board, whether the board needs changing, maybe. But I've said this so many times. Where were you moaning about the board when we were winning Champions Leagues? Where were you moaning about the board when we were winning titles? We've been successful under this board. I don't like the fact that they're American, overseas. There's nothing about being American. They could be Chinese, they could be French, but they're not Manchester United fans. They're not Manchester United people. And I think that having somebody in charge of the club who's just interested in the football club is far better and beneficial than people who just want to take money out of the club. But this situation with Mourinho is different to a situation with the board. And I never agreed with people trying to say it's not Mourinho's fault, it's the board's fault. He had £400 million. The football was terrible. The players were underperforming. And we were in an embarrassing situation. That's manager issues. That's not board issues. That's manager issues. And what we're solving at the moment is manager issues. It's not about the board. The board will take care of themselves. Maybe they'll sell the club. I don't know. So what do we do going forward from here? So there is a report on Sport Witness that I read just before I came live that Radio Antenna 1 in Portugal are saying that Manchester United are going to get Zidane and it will be announced in the next 48 hours and that this deal has been in place for over a month. I personally don't think it's true, but it encourages me because for me, I think Zidane is the right person. Obi says that Gary Neville was well out of line with his Pogba thing. We will be talking about that. We will be taking your calls as well. Smash that like button, share the video. We're probably going to be live for a good couple of hours, so loads to talk about, and we'll be updating you with stuff as it happens as well. Obviously subscribe if you are new. But yeah, Zidane for me, Champions League winner 3 times, managed the big club, been a fantastic footballer. If we got him, he'd be my number 1 over Pochettino. That's my personal opinion. Pochettino, what's the situation with Pochettino? The Times are saying that Pochettino wants to be considered for the Manchester United job. If that's the case, why not go and get Pochettino now? Just pull him out of Spurs. You know, what I don't agree with is that it's all right, well and good saying Pochettino's for the summer, let's get an interim manager now. And maybe Manchester United are being respectful to do that. But if you're Spurs fans and you're a Spurs chairman and you know that your manager wants to go to Manchester United in the summer, look at what happened with Marco Silva at Watford. Yes, it's a lesser extent. Watford, last season, around November time, Everton wanted Marco Silva. They wouldn't let him go, they wouldn't pay the money, and Marco Silva ended up getting sacked a month later. And then he went to Everton in the summer. I think Spurs might be in that situation. If Pochettino openly wants the Manchester United job, how can Spurs stick with a man that they know wants to go? So maybe Pochettino could happen exciting. Maybe Pochettino could happen really soon as well. I don't know. Laurent Blanc was favourite this morning. I'm a big advocate of Laurent Blanc. We did the videos in the international break before last, and I'm a big fan of Laurent Blanc. He's a bit like Zidane, not as good as Zidane, but he's done things at the highest level. He's won things. He's won World Cups. He was a good domestic player as well. He played at Manchester United. He took over Bordeaux. He finished 2nd and 1st with a team that, you know, is unfashionable. He used youth. He went to Paris Saint-Germain. He won the title 3 times. He got sacked because of the Champions League form, but have PSG ever won the Champions League? So Laurent Blanc's an interesting one. And then you've got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, which if you'd said to me yesterday, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's going to be considered a Manchester United manager, I would have been, woof, what are you on about there? But then if it's Solskjaer and Mike Phelan, you've got Manchester United manager, well, assistant manager under Sir Alex Ferguson. We never should have let him go when Moyes came in. He knows the club. He knows what it's all about. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, all right, he's not on the same level as a Blanc or a Zidane as a player, but what has he done in a Manchester United shirt? Oh, you know, I've only won you a Champions League final. I've scored. I've won titles. I know what this club's all about. I mean, the retainer with Solskjaer is he failed badly at Cardiff. I would have my concerns. There's a romance to Solskjaer. and it's an exciting romance. But I would have my concerns about Solskjaer, and I'll put my hand up and say, if you're asking me what I would prefer out of an interim manager, whether it's Laurent Blanc or it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Mike Phelan, I actually would go Laurent Blanc. I think the pedigree at the highest level is more there with Laurent Blanc in his football career, but also he was a captain in his football career, he was a leader in his football career, and also his management career has been pretty good as well. So for me, it would be Laurent Blanc. But Solskjaer, if we get Solskjaer, we back Solskjaer. He's, some would say he's a United legend. He's certainly a United great. And I think the most important thing United need to do, and it's very interesting that this came out this afternoon about Manchester United, is that they want somebody who understands what Manchester United's all about. And I think that crosses two sides here. You either go Zidane and Blanc, who as footballers have achieved things at the highest level and have done well as managers, so that when they come into the club, whether there's an ego from Pogba or whoever, Pogba really can't give it the big one to Zidane or Blanc, because they are French legends and they've done it as footballers and as managers. So that's something that somebody goes in and they lead. Something Mourinho could never do, Van Gaal could never do. They didn't have the football careers behind them, and they didn't have the Manchester United understanding behind them. If Solskjaer comes in, he probably does lack a bit of management of big players, but he knows Manchester United like the back of his hand, and he's achieved things at Manchester United, and he knows what Manchester United's all about. Again, Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho, they didn't know what Manchester United's all about. They don't have the history of what Manchester United's all about. So that encourages me that United are looking for one of those two options. Either somebody who's achieved as a player and a manager, or somebody who's achieved as a player but knows what Manchester United's all about. Mark G says, if United want Zidane, who's currently available, why are they appointing an interim manager? I think Poch is their number one target and not Zidane. I agree with you, Mark. I agree with you. I think if we are going interim manager, we're probably not looking at Zidane, because Zidane's available now, unless Zidane is saying, I am taking a year out. Remember, his agent said he was taking a year out no matter what. Maybe Zidane said, look, I am taking a year out. I'm available in the summer. Take an interim manager now. To be honest with you, if I was Zidane, unless he's really set on having a year out, what a great opportunity to come in 5 months before. We were speaking about this last night, weren't we? And a few weeks ago. What a great opportunity to bring a manager in now where there's no pressure, where the fans are going to be patient, and you can sort of try things out, find out who you want to keep and who you don't want to keep, and then you can hit the summer running without having to assess what you don't and don't need. So to be honest, I maybe Zidane's not in the picture. So Joe Hernandez says, do you think players like Fellaini and Matic will leave with the appointment of a manager like Zidane and Pochettino? Look, I really have to say that is a topic in itself, and maybe somebody will want to call in about that. But I do not think. I don't think we can. I think I want to talk about Pogba next, and we're going to start taking some calls as well. But in relation to Azel Martinson says, Tottenham isn't going to let go of their manager to competitor. Never happened and never happening. If he wants to go, he will go, mate. I'm not going to be arrogant. I've seen some people today saying if United want Pochettino, they'll get him. That's not the case. If Pochettino wants United, they'll get him. If Pochettino wants to stay at Spurs, they won't. My hope would be, if Pochettino's the person that we want, is that Manchester United's still the biggest club in England. What do you want on your CV? Do you want on your CV that you went into United after 3 managers and got them back on track? It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing opportunity. And Manchester United should be what Zidane wants. It should be what Pochettino wants. It should be the job, because the opportunity is absolutely massive. But we'll see what happens with that. Let's hope the next manager buys a house, says Virgil Hainsey. Look, you can dissect Mourinho like we have done for the last 3 or 4 months. There was so much going wrong there. It amazed me he lasted so long. But he's gone now. And I do applaud the board. I applaud the board because they did something I wasn't expecting. Last night, did I expect him to be sacked? No, I didn't. And we have sacked him. And it was right to do that. And they've done it. I always thought they would wait till it was mathematically impossible to get top 4. So I applaud them for doing something that needed to be done. You can have your issues with the board, but I think they've done it at the right time. Probably too late for me, but they did it way sooner than I thought they would. Tom T Vlog says, let's get back to the top. We are Manchester United, just remember that. And I do want to underline that. There's so much to talk about tonight. I want to get your thoughts and keep throwing them in. But I want to drive positivity, and you can drive whatever car you want. A lot of you were Mourinho out before me. You'll make your own minds up. But I just want to say I'm tired. I'm tired from exhaustion because it's been such an amazing day. It's been draining in a positive way for a change. I think yesterday was draining from a negative point of view, that the club hadn't done what needed to be done. But they've done it today. There's so many people I've spoken to. I've taken so many phone calls. I've replied to so many messages. But the bottom line is that I'm very excited about Manchester United's future. We've got Cardiff, Huddersfield, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Reading. Yesterday, they were games I was dreading. Oh, more Mourinho crap. He's probably going to grind out negative results. On Saturday, we play Cardiff at 5:30. I can't wait for that watch along. We're turning a new page. Some of these players are going to become better players overnight. We're going to have a different mentality. You know, Mourinho without Rui Faria became useless. A bus with flat tyres. But he was always a pragmatic manager. He was a slow build-up manager. How exciting is it that we're now going to see Manchester United with a manager, hopefully by the sounds of it, who wants to play like everyone else is playing, who goes on the front foot, who, you know, isn't pragmatic, who wants to speed the game up, who wants to attack. And that's, for me, why every single player deserves a second chance. Because I believe Pogba deserves a chance. I've been on about this for a while. I think Pogba under another manager, all these people saying get Pogba out my club, you've only seen him playing under Jose Mourinho. And Jose Mourinho has destroyed flair. Whether it's Sanchez, Martial, Rashford, Lingard, Mata, Pogba, Fred, he's destroyed Mkhitaryan. He's destroyed flair consistently. We're going to hopefully have a style of football now that promotes flair. That maybe we might see Mason Greenwood. Maybe we'll see Tahith Chong now. There's so much to be positive about. That door that was shut on our youth development is suddenly wide open. That door that was shut on the way we played football is suddenly wide open. There's so much to be positive about. Patience is key as well. We are far, far away from being one of the top clubs in England. We're far, far away from being top 4. I accept that. I don't like it, but we've done the first thing that needed to be done. We've got rid of the manager that put us in that position. It's unfair to accept an interim manager or a new manager to come into Manchester United and make us title contenders. I said this when Jose Mourinho was the manager. The big positive for me is he wins the title in the first 2 years. I had doubts about his youth development. I had doubts about his style of football, but I was happy we got him because he guarantees the title in the first 2 years. He failed. He didn't do that. When Van Gaal was manager, I was hopeful he could turn us into title contenders. When David Moyes was manager, I was praying. I didn't believe he could do it, and I was right. This situation, whoever the interim manager is, whoever the next manager is, I am going to be patient because I do not believe that I cannot make a statement that we will win the title next year, the year after, or the year after that. I don't know. I don't know. I've got nothing. You know, Mourinho, I thought he would win the title because that's what he does. I don't know what's going to happen now. We're going into a period of uncertainty. It could get worse. Hopefully it's going to get better. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm relaxed and I'm patient and I'm happy because I'm willing to be that. I want this last 6 years to be a learning curve for Manchester United Football Club and the board. The fans, we wanted to get back to those Sir Alex Ferguson days, and we dipped too far. We never should have gone as low as we've gone. The football's been poor, some of the signings have been bad, and we now sit in a situation we never should be. The only way is up now. It could get worse. It could get worse, and we must consider that, but it may need to get worse to get better. I still think that this squad needs renovating. 4 years we've been saying we need to get rid of some deadwood, and that's a point that still stands. But patience is key, and we've got to work for it. And you will make your own minds up, but personally, I will be patient. I'm not going to be going live if we lose to Cardiff going, fucking hell, get rid, this is a joke. You know, Mourinho got 2 years from me. Van Gaal got 18 months. Moyes got about 8 minutes. I never wanted him. But whatever happens, I will be patient. And I will support whatever the club do. Because any new manager deserves that. There's only 1 or 2 managers I would be very frustrated with. Antonio Conte, Diogo Simeone. Because they are pragmatic, negative managers. It is so important, whoever comes in, and Solskjaer would fit the bill, is just a risk. It's got to be somebody who thinks forward. Cyber West says, Christmas come early, peak times ahead. Would you take a manager like Conte as interim, or do you want to see Carrick and McKenna hold the reins until the end of the season, says Ryan FTW. I don't want Conte. It's just another Jose Mourinho, pragmatic, defensive coach. But I want to know what you lot think, because I really do think that it comes down to whether you are you going to be positive? Are you going to be somebody who is patient? Because you know what? I'm so excited about the next few games, and I really do think, as a prediction, United are going to play some really good football over the next 4 games, because people are going to want to preserve. People are going to show the world that Jose Mourinho was ruining them. Alexis Sanchez should now be absolutely fighting fit to get back. I want to get back. I want to prove people wrong. Pogba, Martial, Rashford, Lingard, Mata. I want to prove people wrong. I am an attacking player. I am one of the best players in this league. Lukaku, there's question marks. You know, there are. Fellaini, for me, should never wear a United shirt again. But let's see. I think it's very important that the new manager comes in and starts shipping out people like Phil Jones, Ashley Young, Marouane Fellaini. They need to be moved to the side. We've had too many years of that sort of player, and we need to start. I would, you know, if we've got no money to spend in January, I'd bring Twansibi back. I'd bring Chong in. I'd bring Greenwood in. These are the players that, you know, looking forward, this is what the club wants. And I will take. What we've got to do over the next 4 games is win all 4 games. And then we've got to reassess where we are in the league. And we might still be 10 points off 4th place. And if we are, we've got Spurs after the Reading game. That's a very tough game. And if by the end of January, we've not made any inroads on the top 4, because it's a very tough task. Some people will be saying we can go for top 4 now. I think that's a pressure the new manager doesn't need. I don't think top 4 is possible. But let's see what we can do over the next few games, and then let's reassess. And if we hit February and top 4 is just too far to go for, then you start using some of the younger players. Then you start trying things out. And we need to back that. For me, we're building for next season. That's what we're doing. And we've given ourselves 5 months of this season to build for next season. But we've got to be... I think we've got to start looking... You know, there are apparently contracts on offer for Phil Jones and Ashley Young. I would rip them up. They're not part of what United's future is. I would rip them up. I would say thank you very much, and I would be moving them out next summer. So there's loads and loads that needs to be done at that football club, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see what we do. But yeah, I mean, there is a lot I want to talk about. I want to start taking some calls in a minute as well. Please do drop a like on the video. Please do share the video, and please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. Bottom right hand corner. We're going to be live with you until at least 7:30 tonight, and there's loads to talk about. I've only really started touching on it a little bit, but I do want to just start getting a few calls in. I know there's people regulars who want to come on as well. Let me just talk about... Well, let's have a little bit of... Pogba a little bit as well. That's an interesting one. I've sort of... Instead of no chance in the Champions League, now it's 50-50, says Mad Marcus. Yeah, I mean, look, Marcus, that's for you to decide. But I personally think we've got no chance in the Champions League because it's PSG. And I think it's very important that we do focus on we've got no chance of top 4 and we've got no chance of the Champions League, because that's the legacy that Jose Mourinho left. If this new manager or manager can do that, great. It's a bonus. But I think the biggest mistake we can make is start demanding something now. This is next season. This is for next season now. Anything we achieve between now and May is a massive bonus, because whoever comes in is taking on a mess. It is a mess. And the players have got to step up to the plate as well. There are players like Paul Pogba, Anthony Martial, basically all the players really, Eric Bailly, Fred. This is their opportunity now. And if in a year's time Pogba's still inconsistent, I'll put my hand up and say he was never good enough. He's got to go. Mourinho was right. He's got to go. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to see a more consistent Paul Pogba, the real Paul Pogba, the real Anthony Martial, the real Fred, the real Eric Bailly. But they've got to step up. They cannot be lazy. Players have been lazy under Mourinho. I understand why, but they have got to step forward. On the Paul Pogba thing, I just want to say, if you weren't aware what happened with Paul Pogba, he put a tweet out this morning, or an Instagram post, captioned this with his face. Apparently, that was a scheduled Instagram post. Now, Gary Neville reacted by saying, caption this, you can do one as well. Very angry, Gary Neville, Manchester United fan. How appropriate it is that I've got Rance joining me. Rance, can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you, man.
Good. You chat away, because I'm going to get you up on the screen while you're talking. First of all, we're going to be talking... I was just starting to talk about Paul Pogba, but it's your first opportunity today. You've wanted him gone for a long time. Tell me how you're feeling about today's events.
I'm buzzing, mate. I'm buzzing. As soon as I found out, yeah, it's the best. It was just it was what a start to the day, man. It was great, man. Super buzzing.
Do you think there was an element with Manchester United that they didn't do it yesterday because that was the day that Mourinho got sacked by Chelsea? Mourinho obviously didn't know it was coming as well. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That he got sacked on the same day, but then I heard stuff about they didn't want to do it the same day as the Champions League draw. Somebody said that, but I think that's a load of nonsense, to be honest. But I just think that the reason it took so long was because Ed Woodward likes to. I always said it, and I said it before. He likes to have his target secured or something in place before he pulls the trigger. He did it with LVG, and they're saying that within 48 hours the interim manager is going to be announced. So I feel like he was working on something.
What, I mean, we've had, it's quite well, it's not obscure, it's on Sport Witness. They're mentioning Zidane in the next 48 hours. Laurent Blanc was the favourite this morning. You've then got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the favourite now. I mean, interim manager's been mentioned. I think the most important thing for me is that they're talking. I like what's coming out of the club about it being somebody who knows what the club's all about. What are your thoughts on what happens from here? Are you bothered? Or, you know, how do you feel going forward about what United should do?
I'm just happy. I feel like we got a club back. Do you know what I mean? Because Mourinho's a manager that always makes it about him. It was never about the club while he was there. So I'm just happy that we've got a club back. And I feel like a lot of the journalists, they don't know, innit? They're guessing. So a lot of the stuff that's coming out now is speculation. None of these guys had a clue that he was going to be sacked only yesterday. But now everyone's got the answers. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I think that's just speculation. There was not even a hint of Jose's getting sacked in the morning yesterday. And now all of a sudden everyone knows who's coming in. So I honestly, like I said, it would be Zidane before Christmas. And people were like, oh, how do you know? How do you know? And then Zidane's posted a picture today with the number 21 on the back. And the 21st of December is in a few days. And United were like 48 hours. So I don't know. It could be Zidane. But if it's not Zidane, I believe that they're going to go full steam ahead for Pochettino at the end of the season, and they'll just install someone until then. Either one I'm happy with.
I'll tell you what, you raise a great point there. I mean, let me just read this super chat from Nikhil Biller. He says, I think a director of football is making decisions behind the scenes. Ole and Blanc are not board choices. Hopefully it goes good. Get Poch in this summer. Interesting. But you know what? I was in Manchester today, not for any other reason than it was a pre-planned thing. Sat in a coffee shop, checked my phone, Jose gone, Simon Stone. And it came from nowhere. And that's very unusual from Manchester United. Something always leaks before. And they got this one bang on, just after 9 o'clock. Nobody was ahead of the game. I think that was impressive as well. It's been a long time since we as a United fan base have been hit by a signing or news like this out of the blue.
Yeah, we even know who's starting like an hour before the teams are meant to be announced. Things have been getting leaked left, right and centre. But I feel like someone is controlling stuff behind the scenes now. Someone that we don't actually know about. But because even the names that we're getting linked with, they're not obvious names. So that makes me think that it's definitely not Woodward in charge of this.
I do want to get your thoughts on this. Obviously, Paul Pogba scheduled tweet, apparently. To be honest with you, if that was a scheduled tweet, I will be fair and even-handed and say I don't really think he should be putting tweets like that out after a Liverpool result. But the reality is, apparently it was scheduled. Gary Neville coming out afterwards saying you can do one as well. I suppose this is the danger. I know what your opinion is on Pogba, but this is the danger, isn't it? I personally just feel it's really important that every Man United fan is positive about what's happened today. It's happened for the right reasons. And we do give everybody an opportunity. I think it would be a real shame going into the game on Saturday if people are going into that with agendas. But, you know, I think Gary Neville's got an opinion and he was obviously very angry. He wanted Mourinho to stay.
But, yeah, Gary Neville showed his ass today. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what I mean. Gary Neville's supposed to be, well, he tries to pride himself on this non-biased, like, whiter than white agenda, like, where he's just completely about the football, yeah? And Gary Neville showed his ass today, innit? And that's why I always said I don't want Gary Neville anywhere near the club. Same with Roy Keane. Like, all of them guys, man, they've got their own agenda, innit, at the end of the day. Like, Gary Neville is a very good pundit, but he's a failed manager. And a lot of people forget that when they're trying to throw his name into the hat for different roles. Like, he couldn't even hack it at fucking Valencia. Like, he's nowhere near us. Roy Keane's managing, his resume as a manager is embarrassing. But these guys are always the guys with all the answers. So, like, Gary Neville, like, full of shit, to be honest, man. He claims to be such a big Manchester United fan. How the fuck can he sit back and watch what Mourinho's doing to the club and still want him to stay? It makes no sense whatsoever. If we were playing the right way and the results weren't going for him, I could get why he was saying, all right, back the manager. But this staunch back the manager shit when we're parking the bus, he's saying himself he hates watching the football, but then he's saying don't sack the manager. Like, what is okay with this guy? And then jumping on Pogba, like, you can do one anyway, whatever. You know what I mean? Media agendas, and Gary Neville's one of them. Gary Neville's bought into that bullshit, and to be honest, like, I'm glad that he's nowhere near the club.
I'll tell you what, Gary Neville went on Arsenal Fan TV. I'd love him to come on the United stand and have his say, because I've got a lot of respect for him. He's a legend as far as I'm concerned. But much the same as Roy Keane, he's my favourite player at Manchester United in my lifetime. But I totally disagree with a lot of what they said on Sunday, and agreed with what Liverpool ex-legends were saying. And it's all about opinion, and that's what it is. And Gary Neville didn't think we should have sacked David Moyes. Again, I don't hold their opinion up better than Rant's, better than yours at home, better than mine. I think my opinion's right, and it's based on fact. And I don't agree with a lot of what Rant says, a lot of what you lot say, but I believe my opinion's based on what I believe to be right, as does Rant's, as does Gary Neville, and that's fine. It's all about opinion. But Mourinho for me needed to be sacked. What's Mourinho's legacy, Rant? I wanted to bring this in because somebody said, where does he rank with Van Gaal and Moyes? It's an interesting one. But first of all, what is his legacy? He did win trophies, but in a couple of years' time,
you can't compare Moyes with any of them, because Moyes got the least amount of time and spent the least amount of money and brought in the least amount of players. So we can take Moyes out of there. Moyes was a failure, but Moyes was a failure because he wasn't big enough, innit? Like, he just wasn't. But I think that Mourinho has been a complete failure, because what has he really done? When you look at it, his first season he finished below Van Gaal, below where Van Gaal finished the season before. Yeah, he won a couple trophies, but he won a couple Mickey Mouse trophies we were meant to win anyway. I always say it, people get carried away. The Europa League win was amazing because it actually was the only trophy that we hadn't won. But other than that, we didn't play anyone. It was a cup I expected the players to win even if they didn't have a manager. So I don't really care about that. The second season, yeah, we finished second, but
just quickly, Rance, you're right, though. I just want to jump in there. I don't like history being rewritten. I don't like people saying Mourinho didn't want to sign Pogba. It's bollocks. He wanted to sign him at Chelsea the year before. But if anyone remembers that Europa League season, we were an ex-City player missing a sitter from going out in the semi-final. And if we went out, we didn't finish in the top four. So that season would have been a complete failure. We would have been back in the Europa League and with a Carabao Cup. So people go on about this shit treble and the Europa League, but we would literally, in the last minute of the semi-final, second leg at Old Trafford, a sitter away from going out. So, yeah, well done. I loved it.
I was saying, Mourinho's a politician. Before Jose Mourinho, nobody even considered the Community Shield, as a trophy. And all of a sudden, he's like, we won 3 trophies. No, we didn't, bruv. That's not a trophy. The guy's a politician. That's what he does. The same way he turned fans on players. He turned everyone on Martial for as long as he wanted to. The guy is very good at pushing agendas and always trying to take the blame away from himself and shift it to everyone else. And he's done it at every club he's been at. He's done it in every job. It's nothing new. Like, I don't think his first season was a massive success. I don't. Like, I think it was the bare minimum required for him to even keep his job. Because finishing 6th is not good, especially with the players that he had. So, second season, Liverpool got to the Champions League final and Tottenham's bums fell out. Like, really and truly, we didn't deserve to finish in the top 3 last season, but we managed to scrape it. And then we come into his third season, and even before a ball is kicked, he's saying, if I don't get a centre-half, we're fucked. Bearing in mind, the previous 2 seasons, we were in the top 2 for defensive records in the Premier League. So where did this, if I don't get a defender, we're fucked, come from all of a sudden? Because our defensive record wasn't even that bad. So he sowed the seeds nice and early, and he got his excuses in early, Jose. Like, I have to say, like, he was a very smart man for that. Maybe he knew he was losing his number 2, and he didn't have a clue how to defend. Maybe.
Well, I think we've spoke about that a lot, and I think, over the past few weeks, I mean, there's so many things. You've lost the players, you've lost the fans, the football's terrible, the league position's terrible, you've conceded more goals than you did all last season, it's not even halfway through the season, negative goal difference, negative press conferences, blaming everybody else. I mean, the only surprise to me, and we've said it before, is that he's not been sacked sooner, but he is gone and it's a week
Yeah.
before Christmas. And I think so many of us are just so happy that we've got something that I didn't expect the board to do. I know you did a few weeks ago, but Nis says former Manchester United striker Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be named as interim manager following the sacking of Jose Mourinho if they can negotiate his release from Norwegian side Molde sources. As we go forward into this positive era, what are the key things you think are important for United over the next coming months, approaching the next season?
I just think that the feel-good factor will be back. Like, there are pictures of Luke Shaw, thumbs up to the camera when he's driving into training. Don't get it twisted. We know what that was about. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think that Mourinho's guys are going to be down in the dumps. And Matic looked like his wife left him. You know what I mean? Lukaku's going to be pissed. All of these guys, because they know they were Jose's guys. And they were like the only two guys really in the dressing room that are 100% behind the manager. So I just think that we'll get back to enjoying our football again. And I think that'll be enough for us to climb the table. Just enjoying our football. It doesn't matter who comes in at this point. If nobody came in till the end of the season, I still expect us to put a run together now. We don't have a ridiculously hard run of games. The next 6 games aren't ridiculous. There's no reason why we can't win all 6 of them. And then you win those, and then you start looking at the table. And even though it looks crap at the moment, we're not really that far off 4th place. We're not.
Yeah, 11 points off 4th at the moment. That's 12 really because of the goal difference. But I mean, you know, you do start to look at the fixtures of those above you. But to be honest with you, it is. I mean, do you think it's unfair to put any pressure? I mean, Marcus was saying that, you know, that Champions League game against PSG now becomes winnable. Is that dangerous to expect to sort of say we can get top 4, we can do that? Because I personally feel that anything we achieve this season's a bonus. We might lose against Cardiff on Saturday. I won't mind losing because we are actually building something.
Yeah, exactly. In my head, I've written this season off anyway. Like, that's what I said. I don't care who comes in. Like, we've already made progress by sacking Mourinho. Like, even if they said like we're gonna give it to Carrick till the end of the season or Ollie to the end of the season, I'll just enjoy going to Old Trafford and watching us play football the right way, and just having all of the fans behind the team again and behind the manager. I don't really care now, because whether we get Champions League or not at the end of the season, it's not going to affect our ability to sign players. We saw it when we signed Pogba, Mkhitaryan and Zlatan. A year out the Champions League is not going to stop us from getting Pochettino if we want to get Pochettino. It's not going to stop us from getting the players we want. They're still going to come. So Champions League football is not vital, because at this present moment, our squad is not equipped to win it anyway. So what difference does it make if we're not in it, really?
I also don't think people realise, you know, there's the joy of Mourinho being sacked, but there's also, unless the club make a stupid mistake, which it doesn't look like they're going to go, we're not going to have a pragmatic defensive manager.
No, we're not.
The door to the youth should be opened. Eric Bailly and people like Fred should be given a proper run in the game.
And Will.
Yeah, so there's just so much to be excited about. And you know, it's amazing. I said this last night. This positivity, this negativity can flip on one decision. And I just can't wait. I'm so excited for our future. This is why we love this club.
I'm super buzzing. And anyone would have seen Greenwood's hat-trick yesterday. How are you not excited? Like, this club, like, we've got so many good things going for us that just getting rid of him solves so much. So much, because I wouldn't have wanted Mourinho to get anywhere near Mason, because he would have ruined the kid. You know what I mean? That's the last thing that we wanted. So I'm super happy, man. We'll either get in the interim manager who understands the club, that will come in. We'll see the likes of Greenwood and that blooded into the squad, but before the end of the season, him, Chong, Gomez for sure. We need to see in and around the first team squad. Yeah. He should definitely played in the game. Jose showed that he's got no business at our club when he didn't even give him minutes. So I think there's no reason not to be positive. That's why the Gary Neville thing today was a load of shit. Like, that really pissed me off, because it was a day that everyone should have been happy, united, literally, and Gary Neville's come out with that bullshit. And now he feels stupid because it was a scheduled tweet, because there was an Adidas event yesterday, and that was always going to come out. Nobody knew Jose was getting sacked. And he was at training when the tweet went up, so he couldn't have sent it. So it's just funny.
I think, you know what, I would defend Neville on this point and say, look, everybody has got different opinions, and I'm quite glad he hasn't deleted it, because at least he's kept out there what he genuinely thinks. And, you know, I'm a fan of Pogba, you're a fan of Pogba, I've got really good friends who aren't. And, you know, I actually respect Neville for keeping it out there, because at least he has openly shown the world that he doesn't want Paul Pogba at United. And I now hope that Paul Pogba goes and does what I expect him to do, which is be a consistent, proper Paul Pogba, because there's so many other players, and I feel it's unfair that Pogba gets mentioned so much, because we haven't seen the best of Martial, Rashford, Lingard, Fred, Mata, Pereira, Mkhitaryan's already gone, we never saw the best of him. These are flair players that we haven't seen the best of, and I really do believe that we will see the best of them now, and hopefully in a year's time, people like Gary Neville, Roy Keane will have to say, you know what, I got it wrong. Jose Mourinho did destroy that player.
But this is it, and you can throw Memphis into that as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just how it is. Like, the guy is looking like a world beater at the moment, and it's not just in the French league before people talk rubbish. He's banging goals in the Champions League and internationally for his country. So, like, it's one of them things where he does destroy players. Like, Mourinho does it. So, I think it's brilliant. Like, he convinced the world that Eden Hazard was rubbish. He done the same thing with Kevin De Bruyne. And it's just, it is what it is, man. Like, if you don't fit into the box that he wants to put you in, then he turns people against you, and he does it at the club. He turned the Chelsea fans on Hazard and who's that other player? There was a few players, and Costa as well. But to be fair, Diego Costa's a piece of shit. But if he's on side, do you know what I mean? Then he'll run through a brick wall for you, literally. Do you know what I mean? So it's one of them things where, like, he loves a scapegoat, but now I think he can't get another job at a big club anymore. I think the Portuguese national team is about the only place he can go now.
To be honest, I mean, whatever Mourinho does, as far as I'm concerned, I said it before, if he does go to Madrid and win the Champions League, if any United fan tries to say we shouldn't get rid of him, where have you been for the last 2 years? We definitely should have got rid of him. But just a quick question, because I know Flex is waiting to come on as well. If Solskjaer is the interim manager and he does really well, would you still get Pochettino in the summer, or do you think we should stick with Solskjaer?
You have to get Pochettino. I think that in terms of, if there was a checklist of a Manchester United manager, there's no better fit than Pochettino. Like, there isn't, not in world football. Like, and he knows the Premier League. He develops youth. He plays an attacking system. Do you know what I mean? He's a modern manager, and he's shown that with, like, the net spend is 50 million or something since he's been there. That's a joke. And look what he's done. Like, anyhow we get Pochettino, then, like, it's, oh man, when I look at the youth team that we have and the players that we have that he's going to get the best out of, like, it's ridiculous. And also players like Matic and Lukaku, there won't be nowhere in the team for players like that, which is exactly what we need.
The future is bright, and I think, you know, this is the first step to it. Rance, I really appreciate it, because I know you've got a busy day today, and you're off out yourself, but I knew you'd want to come on, and no doubt we'll be doing more content in the coming days. But unfortunately, Flex and Rance didn't go up today, because last night you filmed it, and, you know, moaning about Mourinho going out would have been ridiculous, but the silver lining is we got what we wanted. So I really appreciate you coming on, pal.
No problem.
I'll speak to you soon.
Nice one.
Cheers, pal. I'm going to read some of the super chats, and then we will be getting Flex on very, very soon as well, and then we'll be starting taking some of your calls. Mas Sharan says, your take on former Monaco manager Jardim as interim. I mean, as an interim, yes, but he was sacked by Monaco. As an interim, this is why Jardim and Blanc would appeal to me, because it's whether they take the job, though. 6 months to see what they're all about is the perfect thing for Manchester United, because some people are a bit unsure about. I like Blanc, some people like Jardim, but if you had them for 6 months, you'd know whether it's right or wrong, and then you can get rid of them or you can keep them. But whether they'd want to do that with such insecurity, I don't know. Christmas has come early. Yeah, we read that one. Going to buy myself a United shirt to celebrate, says Thomas Bowles. Yeah, you don't have to boycott United anymore. Cam Ryat's made a contribution. Matt Kirkham says, Nuno from Wolves, good coach and good philosophy. George Mendes is key now. His client's just been sacked. George Mendes is key now. Will David De Gea sign a new contract? George Mendes never gave us any players. I think there was always an issue with George Mendes and Ed Woodward. We now just sacked his manager, his agent, his client. So whether we could get anything from Wolves, I do not know. Flex, just bear with me a minute. I'm just going to read. I'm just reading out some super chats, all right, and then I'll come to you. Mendes is key now. I can hear myself on yours as well. I think you need to mute me.
Yeah, I'm just going to turn that off.
Okay. Brian Pollock says, woke up this morning expecting another depressing day for United. What a great early Christmas present. Thanks to this amazing community for helping me get through the last few months. Glory, glory, Man United. Yeah, bills are in the post for all the psychiatric care we've been giving you over 8 o'clock every night. But no, jokes apart, it is great news. Virgil Hainsey says he inherited a mess and a fan base that would never truly love him. Despite it, he stuck to a few rivals and won a couple of trophies. Thanks and goodbye. Praveen Thomas, Jose sacked, job half done. Now sell poisonous Pogba and lukewarm Lukaku. Very interesting. Sully BJ says, with all due respect, rants Pogba sulking isn't on Jose. He's been inconsistent since Juve. For your attention, I like the guy. And Sharath Kamath Fitness says, I feel like it's my birthday today and imagine a manager hugging Pogba, Martial Bay after the game. I'm 2 beers up and I'm buzzing more than usual. I think most Manchester United fans are. But Flex, apparently you're disappointed Mourinho's gone.
Nice try, mate. Nice try. I've already tweeted Santa saying I'm so sorry for stopping my belief in him. I apologise profusely, and from now on, my faith has been restored in Santa Claus, mate.
Yes, please do drop a like on the video, everybody. We've got loads of people watching. We're going to be live for at least another hour or so. Loads of we're going to get calls in, loads and loads to discuss. But it's the first time we've really spoke. A few phone calls today, but a real proper chance to talk. What a day! And how are you feeling about it?
I'm still in shock. I'm still in absolute shock. I can't believe he's actually gone. I said in my review of the game against Liverpool, I said I wanted someone to stand up in this club with some backbone. And my God, is Ed Woodward standing up straight today, mate? Because I tell you what, I don't know if he's seen that video or what, but I'm just in shock. I really didn't think, even in the Flex and Rant show that didn't go up. We were saying even in that, I was just like, we was talking about the PSG game. It's like, you know, Jose would definitely be here for then. I just couldn't see this coming at all. But now it's happened. It's like you need the first day to just rejoice and celebrate. And then you kind of have the come down of like, right, okay, it's business time. Because like I said in the video just before he's got sacked, I said, I'm under no illusions that Jose is not the only problem at this club. But I did say that we need to start by looking at the person who is on the front line with these players every day. That's where you start to unpick what the mess that we're in. You start with Jose. He's with the players day in, day out in training. He's in charge of the morale of these players that we do have. Then you look at the bigger picture in terms of the structure of the club and the direction of the club. And that will come. So, yeah, I'm just buzzing. I'm just taking it all in. Before tomorrow I'll start kind of depicting it and then thinking, right, okay, so where next? What would be good? What wouldn't be good? What do I expect from the next manager? What do I expect from the interim, etc., etc.?
Yeah, I think it's important as well. I just want to apologise to everyone in the background. You will hear Seb intermittently because it's getting close to his bedtime and he's very excited that Mourinho's been sacked. So you might hear that for the next few minutes, but he's off for a bath in a minute. I think he's crapped in his nappy as well. So I'm off duty because I'm doing this, so there are positives as well. But yeah, you're right. We do need to enjoy this. I mean, please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you are new, where have you been? We've been through a very interesting 3 months on the United stand, and I think we've helped each other through it together. So yeah, subscribe if you're new, smash a like on the video and get involved. This for me, Flex, is the best bit. I was speaking to somebody today and they said, you know, fan channels, negativity. I say, look, I hate it. I hate it. You know, you go on, you moan, because you have to moan because the club matters, but you have divided fan base, you've got toxicity within your club base. I said the favourite bits for me are always the transfer windows and when we're doing well, because it's positivity, you feel good, you feel excited, and that's what I feel today. You know, I love Christmas anyway, but now it's a better Christmas because Manchester United, I don't know what we're going to do. I feel... Are we going to play some youth? Is Fred going to be the player he should be? Is Bailly going to get some game time? Is Fellaini finally going to get fucked off? You know, are we going to play good football? You know, it is a blank canvas in front of us, and I'm so excited now. You know, I'm not deluded. I think that things could go wrong, and maybe they will do, but I don't think it can ever go back to what it was. And that's important. This positivity now. You're going to be doing the fan cams. It's a different world.
It is a complete different world, and that's what I'm saying. There's an air of excitement back, and we haven't even kicked the ball. We haven't even appointed an interim manager yet, and people are already already buzzing for the Cardiff game, or already buzzing for the Huddersfield game after that, to just see what we're going to do, to see what the difference is going to be. And I think you're right. You can't be deluded, though. You can't think that, right, Jose's gone, so we're all of a sudden going to start winning 5-0 every game and have a not title challenge, a top 4 challenge. You can't think
the
like
games
that.
are there, though. Just quite quickly: Cardiff, Huddersfield, and Bournemouth at home, Newcastle away. I mean, we shouldn't put any pressure on any new manager, but we could get 12 points and we could play good football.
But the difference is, the problem is just obviously the teams we've got to leapfrog. You know, what are we, 11 points off?
Yeah, it's it's unachievable, isn't it, I think?
Exactly. We need all those teams to lose at that time. Do you know what I mean? So that's the difference. But like Rance said, for me, it's not even about looking at, right, oh, how many points off top 4 now? Right now we can save the season. To me, the season, although not mathematically over, is kind of over, if you get what I mean. It felt like that. Now, I know this will bring a bit of optimism because we expect to not see boring football, a lift in morale. But for me, it's about we've made one of the biggest changes that we had to make, the first big change that we have to make. And for me, it's about saying, do you know what? I just want to see some attacking football, and I just want to be excited about going to watch us again. You know, if you're looking at an interim manager as well that's going to come in, it makes the January transfer window quite difficult, because if you know that person's then not going to be there in the summer, do you then give them money to buy something that the new manager might not want, unless they're talking to the new manager now, and a lot of the deals are signed and agreed in principle with whoever the new manager is. So that's what I'm talking about. It puts us in a situation that maybe not a lot of us are thinking about in terms of the January transfer window. Some people saying, right, now we can get players in, now we can push. We still need to have a direction, a plan, and take our time with this, because we've been in this situation with Moyes, we've been in this situation with Van Gaal, we're now in it with Mourinho, where they've exited the club and we haven't made good appointments or taken our time and made the right choices at the right times to move forward. So it has to be a patient process, it has to be the right process. And we need to get the right pieces of the puzzle into the right parts, but we can't rush it. I wouldn't just throw money around in January to try and rush players out the club, rush players in, a flurry of transfer activity. One, because it's January and it's very difficult to do that anyway. But two, we've seen what happens when you get it wrong. This is a very important time for Man United. I just want to see a change in the attitude of the players, just a bit of relief, some positivity, the fans back on side. And just take our time with it, man. That's the thing. You can't get carried away. Yes, we're happy to say, like I said, the come down bit is kind of saying to yourself, right, we've gone now. Let's just gather ourselves now. Start enjoying watching the games again. Let's not have too much expectancy if it is Solskjaer or Blanc or whoever comes in for that time. For me, I just look. I'm not the guy who makes decisions, obviously, but I don't see any problem with just letting Carrick have it. To the end. I think the expectancy is not going to be on him that much. You know, like you said, we're 11 points off anyway. And I
think obviously he didn't fancy it, Flex. Either they didn't fancy him or he didn't fancy it, because maybe Carrick's honest enough to say that this is too big a job for me to be taking. I've only been a coach for 3 or 4 months.
Maybe he did look at it. Yeah, exactly. It's easy. That's a fair point. It's easy to just look at it and say, why don't they give it to him? But yeah, maybe he did think, no, I would rather have. They could have asked him, do you want to take it or do you want us to get someone else? So yeah, you're right there. And that's the thing. I just think that we just need to be patient with it. And I don't think that the next interim manager, like you said, we could still lose a couple of games. We could still see, you know, things not quite clicking, because it's going to take time again. The players are going to have to find themselves again. But for me, it's just a big opportunity, like you said, for the forgotten men, man. You know, your Bailly's, your Delots now coming into it, Fred, Pereira. And like you said, Angel Gomez, Chong, these kind of players, Greenwood, maybe these players might be brought in just for a freshened up look and like a change in system. I just want to see, do we play any differently? I can't wait for Cardiff. I cannot wait just to see what happens. But I'm just under no illusions that Jose's gone, so we're instantly going to be guaranteed to be different. Like that it doesn't mean that. It's going to take a little bit of time. But what I do want to see over the next couple of games is some early signs of, do you know what? It might not have quite have been there. We didn't maybe get the goals that our chances deserved, or but you could see us building. You could see a clear difference in the mentality and what we're trying to do. I don't expect it all to come off straight away, but I want to see that clear difference.
I think we will as well. I think we're going to see a massive improvement because, you know, Jose had his favourites. You know, Fellaini, Matic and Lukaku might go into depression, but he also had people who didn't like him. And they're more important. You know, your Eric Bays, your Freds, your Pogbas, your Martials, your Rashfords, your Lingards. I think they're going to go up a level and also be allowed to go up a level because they're not going to have to focus on defensive, pragmatic football. Also, I think hopefully the club have learned something here that I was saying before almost needs to be set in stone. If you play bad football, if you lose the fans, and if you embarrass us at Anfield, you're automatically sacked. I think they've sacked him at the perfect time. You know, we've nearly got 10,000 people watching. Please do drop a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and please do click the share button and get involved. The share button you can share on Twitter and Facebook. So thanks everyone joining. But Virgil Hainsey says almost 10,000 people watching live, amazing. And I hope that not that the board will be watching this, but I hope they sort of do look at the interest around United today. It's everywhere. We've sacked our manager, and the United fan base is enthused. You know, apparently our stock price has gone up by 4%. You know, people will be buying United shirts. People will be logging onto FIFA 19 to do a United FIFA career mode. Yeah. You know, everybody's back interested in United. We're still 6th. We're still 11 points off 4th. We're still 20 points behind Liverpool. We've still got negative goal difference. We're still a shambles, but they've given us something that needed to happen. They've given us hope. They've said the right things. They've done the right thing. And suddenly, they'll see it in their, you know, they are focused on money. We know that. The board's a different thing. But they'll see that replicated now. They'll see sellout at Huddersfield next week, Boxing Day, when people might have thought, I'm going to give it a miss. You know, we as a fan channel are like, you know, it's shit with Mourinho, but, you know, what content have we got this week? At least we can have a bit of a time off over Christmas. Whereas now we're like, fucking hell, what's United's best 11? Who's the next manager? What's going on in the transfer window? Exciting. You know, it's constant, you know, but it's enthusiasm. And that's replicated by 9,500 people watching at 6:30 on a Tuesday night. You know, and that's Manchester United. And this decision, is Mourinho a loser? Well, it's 25 million to be a loser, but he needed to go. Who do you want? What? You know, everyone's got an opinion. What do you want to happen? Would you like Zidane in the next 48 hours? Do you think we should try and get Pochettino out? Do you think, yeah, let's get Ollie in, let's get Blanc in for 6 months, go for someone in the summer? What would you like to see happen?
I think go all out for Pochettino. I keep hearing the argument that what's he won? Listen, that argument now is just failed. I'm not really interested in it really because if you think about it, Mourinho has won everything that there was to win, and look how he's ended up. So the fact that your CV goes before you, it doesn't mean anything in today's game if you haven't moved with the times. Van Gaal won a lot, but again fell flat. Obviously, Moyes is Moyes. So that notion of what have they won? It's just nonsense. It's just an easy way out. It's just, I think it's a way of, you don't really want to think about Jose leaving, or you're sitting in your comfort zone and don't really want to look at how to change it. So the easy thing to say is, yeah, but what's he won? Yeah, but who do we get? Do you know what I'm saying? And what I will say about these managers who haven't won anything, so you're looking at Klopp and Pochettino in particular, okay, they might not have a Carling Cup in their locker and stuff like that, but what they are doing is taking their teams closer to challenging for top honours. We're miles off challenging for top honours. Miles off. Think about it. Like, who's closer to challenging for the league out of us and Tottenham? Tottenham, obviously Liverpool out of us as well. So, and they got to the Champions League final last year with crap players, because it's about coaching. It's not about your CV anymore for me. Don't get me wrong, there are certain like managers who you could look at and go, nah, no chance. You know, okay, it'll be too big a club. But when people say Pochettino has never won anything, that I don't care about that. The problem is obviously trying to get him to Manchester United. Now, you could think, why would he want to come? Why would he want to come? But, you know, he could feel that he's taken Spurs to their ceiling. You know, he didn't get backed in their transfer window just gone. Yes, they've got the stadium coming up, but if they struggle to get top players to their starting 11, because they're in a sticky situation, because any player that they want to buy at Tottenham is going to almost be sitting on the bench, and apart from maybe one or two positions. So, you know, does he feel he can take them any further? You know, so I would let it be. In terms of the interim manager, I don't really care as long as it's nothing stupid. Solskjaer, he did awful at Cardiff. Let's face it, that was a bit of a surprise for me. I did think the character, but like you said, you don't know the situation of why not. Giggs is obviously at Wales, so I get that. Nicky Butt, there's people there. So the interim, I'm not really fussed about. Laurent Blanc, don't really care. If we don't get Pochettino, I would happily take Zidane. I think that he could make a positive influence on our side. Again, people say the whole thing about, yeah, but he was at Real Madrid and he had all the amazing players and stuff like that. I get that, but he still had to manage egos. He still had to make massive decisions. He sat Bale down on the bench and said, "Sod that, mate. I'm playing Asensio. I'm going with the youth." He had to manage Ronaldo and look at his age and his physique and his condition, and made him sit games out. He had to manage a lot of important situations. Then obviously he's won 3 Champions League trophies in a row. I don't care what team you've got. Barcelona were the best for ages. They never did it. They didn't do it. So it doesn't mean that just because you have amazing players that you're going to do that. You need to be a good manager to do that. Do you know what I mean?
We've had an interesting question here from Soccer AM. It is genuinely Soccer AM in the live comments. So thanks for them watching. It just shows how great the United Stand's doing now as a voice for the United Stand. Please do share the video, everyone. I'd love to hit 10,000 people watching because this is really important. But Soccer AM are saying, would you accept Gary Neville as interim coach or full time? Watch your words, because he works for Sky. And he owns the hotel we do a bit of work in.
I wouldn't know. I think, like I said, Gary's a fantastic pundit. But I was a bit confused with what he was saying about, first he was saying to back Mourinho, etc. Just before the Liverpool game, he had the big speech and was, getting everyone to get behind him. He doesn't believe that managers should get sacked. And then now I saw him at, basically now he's basically saying, it had to happen. He had all the power from the summer, and I can't see it. And just obviously his time at Valencia, I don't see him being able to come in and change Man United for the better. I think as a pundit, he's fantastic. He's probably the best pundit in my opinion. But for Manchester United manager, maybe not. In the coaching staff, maybe if the class of '92 got it collectively, Gary Neville definitely wouldn't be a negative influence in there as a coach. He's done it with England with Roy Hodgson. He'd probably have a positive effect on players, but I don't think for Manchester United, as crazy as that might sound, because he is a legend. He's achieved everything at the club, but I don't think for Man United manager, nah.
It's interesting because Gary's getting a bit of stick at the moment because of what he said about Pogba, and obviously we know what Rance thinks about Pogba, and I like Pogba. But what I would say is that if you don't have different opinions, then what's football about? And he's come out and he said basically you can do one as well, Pogba, because of the post, which apparently was scheduled. But maybe he's made a mistake there, but actually he hasn't made a mistake. He shouldn't delete the tweet. It's Gary Neville's belief that Paul Pogba should do one. As a Manchester United fan, he's not happy with Paul Pogba. I know people who I get on really well with who can't stand Paul Pogba, and they're United fans. I don't agree with it, but it's an opinion. So I think Gary Neville is right to tweet it because it's what he thinks, and it's an honest opinion. I don't agree with it, but he's right to tweet it, and he's right not to delete it. You may disagree with it. He's a United fan. He's an ex-United player. I don't think that counts for much, to be honest, because I don't agree with his opinions about David Moyes. But as a United fan, he's got a right to an opinion. And I also feel that, to answer the Soccer AM question, I don't need to answer it. It comes across to me that United wouldn't go anywhere near Gary Neville for the simple reason he's tweeting stuff about Pogba like that, and a lot of people will agree with him, and United want to keep Pogba. So I think Gary Neville says what he wants to say, and I don't think Gary Neville's really interested in being involved in United. I think he'd like the club to be sorted out from top to bottom, but I don't think they'd have him. For the same reason, I don't think they'd have Roy Keane. I'd love Roy Keane to go into the club for 6 months as a coach and sort that dressing room out. But because of his falling out with Sir Alex Ferguson, the club would never do it. So I think there are certain players that their names get mentioned, but when you understand the political aspect of it, it would never happen. And I don't think Gary Neville would ever be invited to Manchester United in the current climate, because I think he's seen as somebody that's maybe a little bit too vocal. Same with Scholesy. I think that would be the same with him. But opinion wise, I think it's great that people are passionate, and you might not agree with it, but
it's all about opinion. There's other pundits out there and ex-players, like Rio Ferdinand. He's said his piece about Mourinho dozens of times and says that, maybe not in as strong words, because obviously he's on TV and still affiliated with the club, but he kind of voiced his disappointment and thought maybe the managerial change was the best thing. Paul Scholes at times there was a time when he went at Mourinho. I mean, Paul Scholes at one time was saying, back the manager and was looking more at the players. But I can't remember what game it was when he was on BT. But he said, this is terrible. It's embarrassing. Like, the manager's got to look at himself, etc. So it's been coming from different players giving different opinions. Just because they're all ex-legends, it doesn't mean that they're all going to have the same thing. They've all had the same feeling and experience while they're at the club. But in terms of how they wanted it to move on, they all had difference of opinions. And that's what a fan channel is all about as well. So, of course, we're going to embrace all those different opinions. That's what it's about.
And also, they are ex-managers who've been sacked, and they're almost in the managers' union. You see this away from United. You see it all the time. Managers sort of have their own little bubble that they protect each other in. And Gary Neville famously said that Moyes shouldn't have been sacked. I think that's one of the bravest things to say, because I think it's ridiculous. But it is his opinion. But I don't see anyone like that being appointed. What I haven't said so far about Jose Mourinho, because I just want to get your thoughts on Mourinho, where he sort of ranks between Van Gaal and Moyes, and how you will look back on his time as United. You know what I think about Mourinho? I was asked about this afternoon when I think it was BBC Radio Live rang me up and they just asked me a question, and I said, they said, what about Mourinho? And I said, you know what? When we got Mourinho, you look at his CV, he wins the title in the first 2 years, and United needed that. I knew his record with the youth and good football was bad, but I was willing to take that because I wanted the title in the first 2 years. We needed to win the title. He didn't achieve that, so it's a big failure. They said, why? And I said, because football moved on. Football moved on in the last 3 years and Jose became redundant. I think the sad thing is, if we got Mourinho in straight after Sir Alex Ferguson, I think it would have been a different story. Yeah,
I agree. I think in terms of his legacy, I think it's a sad end. Bad demise of someone who had it all. I think it's the notion of that thing that used to be in fashion and then a new thing came out and then no one likes that anymore. You said it earlier about a master system and now it's all about Xboxes and PlayStations. It's true. I think football moved on a hell of a lot with him, and he didn't move with it, and I think his tactics got outdated, they got outplayed, they got pushed aside, they got bullied, and it showed. Half of me feels like a big custard pie, even in my own face, because to be fair, some rival fans say this to me, but what did you expect? And you know what, when I break that comment down, did I really expect anything different? I kind of naively did at the beginning, because I thought, Mourinho, like old school Mourinho, he's going to like annoy, wind up the opposition fans, wind up the opposition managers, the players, like he's going to be our Mourinho, like, do you know what I mean? Like the arrogant one, and he's going to get all that going. Like, that's what I thought I would be buying into. But realistically, with what I've seen, I can't really say that I'm surprised. So really, it is kind of the club's fault for appointing him and trying to expect him to change. I remember loads of videos that we did over his tenure is, can Mourinho change though? Will he play attacking football? Will he play the youngsters? Will he do this? Will he do that? When the answers to all of those questions were pretty much no. We don't expect him to change, and Mourinho is such a staunch believer in his own thing. He's got enough trophies behind him to say, well, my formula has worked for so long. Why would I change it? That's him as a man. That is Jose Mourinho. So in terms of expecting him to change, I feel a little bit silly in terms of, well, up until a certain point when I knew he wouldn't. I still, now looking back, I feel a bit naive in terms of actually wanting him to change, because realistically, I was hoping for something that deep down I probably knew was never going to happen. But to sum up his thing, like I've been saying in the last few months, and when I first started saying it, people were saying no chance. I don't think he left us in any better position than we were under LVG. Which
is one of his lines. I think that's one of the saddest things, isn't it? And just quickly, just before I forget, I don't normally do this, but there is a video out there where I said, I can't imagine me ever being Mourinho out. And I said that. I said, I don't think I'll ever say the words Mourinho out, because I support him so much. And I did for 2 years. And I think when you support somebody so long, like I did, when a lot of people were saying you're wrong, when you finally do flip, you flip in a big way. And I'd given him so long, and he really let me down and everyone who did. But, he does walk away from it. But the other thing is that, as you said there, it's like, did he leave us in a better situation? No, he didn't. But it was one of the things he said. I will leave this club in a far better situation than I inherited it. And, if anybody is out there just feeling a little bit guilty, just go through some of the things he said he was going to do, and you tick them all off. He didn't do it.
And he said we'd be top 4 by Christmas. That went out the window straight away. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is what I mean. Like, you look at it, and even it's not even about opinion anymore. We've made our worst league start for 28 years. It's a matter of fact now. So he obviously hasn't made us better than where he was with LVG, and arguably even Moyes. Look at the position that we're in, and where we were heading. So, you know, for me, the proof is in the pudding. So to wrap up his tenure at Man United and his legacy, I think came as a manager who was on his last chance to be able to prove he still had it, failed miserably, showed his arrogance in terms of not willing to change things, and showed his lack of ability to be able to play modern day football. And for me, I can't see another, I could be wrong, I could end up eating my words, but I can't see another European side saying that who plays attacking football, that they would want Mourinho. Like, why would PSG want someone like Jose? I can't see that. I think his career as a manager, some people may sound crazy, I think is nearly over at top clubs who want to play attacking football. Portuguese job, yes. You know, some people laugh and made a bit of banter saying that we wouldn't be able to mess up the players because he's only got Portuguese, so he couldn't waste money. The players would have to play for him because they're Portuguese. There's no transfer window and all of that. So I think the Portuguese job at best, or someone like, you know, Inter Milan again, or one of them kind of teams, AC Milan, who kind of just want to try and get back to where they were. But any team that's flying now and playing attacking football, someone like PSG or Barcelona or Real Madrid, no chance. But actually, maybe Real Madrid, that's for stupidly, but I don't see why they wanted that.
The thing is, look, when it comes to Mourinho, he's not Manchester United manager anymore. It was a failure. I will never look back on it as anything other than that. But when it comes to Jose Mourinho, the man, go and watch the Bobby Robson thing on Netflix. He's still a nice man. He's still a great manager. He's still one of the best managers that's ever been. It just didn't work out United, and there's nothing wrong with saying it's a failure. I am sad it didn't work out, but it didn't work out, and it's because of him it didn't work out. But he's still, like Wenger, he's still got a great CV, a great Wikipedia page, as I used to say. But it didn't work out. And if he went to Real Madrid and won the Champions League and knocked us out, there would be people saying, oh, we made a mistake. There'll be idiots. We didn't make a mistake. We haven't made a mistake. He had to go. The fans were against him. The players were against him. The football was crap. We were in a crap position. And he was throwing bombs all around the club. You know, didn't care. We were right to get rid of him. I wish him all the best. I wish him all the best. Apart from when he plays us, I wish him all the best. I've got nothing but respect for the man. But as a Manchester United manager, yesterday I'd had enough of him. Today, I wish him all the best. Because he's gone. And we look forward. And we are a class club, Flex. I said this morning outside of Old Trafford. We're a class club. We need to look forward. And this is what I was going to ask you. In this moment of positivity, what are your feelings about people like Matic, Fellaini, Ashley Young, Phil Jones, Lukaku? Are they all given the good chance like everybody else? Or do you think it is time to start moving some of these players on?
I think it's time to start. These guys have had a fair bite of the cherry, a bigger bite of the cherry than others. To be honest, they haven't had a fair bite. They've had over a fair bite. Do you know what I mean? They've had more chances than anyone, and their flaws in their game, I think, have been shown. So we've said before, like the likes of Lukaku with the way he plays and the lack of his control and the way he can't hold up the ball. Under an attacking manager, you would think that he wouldn't play. You know, you would think that with Matic, you'd think he'd be worried because he's Jose's boy. You know, there's only a couple of players who were, you know, Team Jose for me, and Matic is definitely one of those. And I think again, under a different manager who wants to play a certain way, these guys are going to see their minutes drastically reduced. Do you know what I mean? Maybe with Lukaku, if we played a different way, which I have always said. We know what his flaws are, but his strengths are trying to get him running at players from counter-attacking positions and getting crosses into the box. So we could, you know, and I've always said, but we don't play that way. So that's another thing. And then Lukaku was unable to play himself into a game because that's not the type of player he is. So under a different manager, maybe we can get a bit more out of Lukaku, but he's still never going to be able to control the ball properly, or he's still never going to be making chances out of nothing for himself. So he's still going to need to be spoon-fed, and it depends on what manager comes in and what idea they want to have. I would guess that those kind of players, they're then their minutes will be numbered, mate.
We are only about 90 people away from 10,000 people watching, which would be just great to top off the day. So please do share the video if you are watching. Smash a like on the video. And if you are new, subscribe. Because I tell you what, if you think fan channels are great to watch when there's negativity, let the people who don't support United disappear. They're welcome to watch. But if you're a United fan, trust me, this period we're going into now, fasten your seatbelts and enjoy it. We're going to be talking about what our best team is. We're going to be analysing if players are improving now Mourinho's gone. We're going to be looking about what's going to happen in January, in the summer. We're going to be looking at what these new managers, the interim and the new manager, might bring. We're going to be looking at results. Positivity is back. And for me, positivity sells. Positivity is what this club is all about. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. I can't wait for it. So get involved. Subscribe if you're new. Drop a like and make sure you share the video because it'd be nice to get over 10,000 people watching. We're going to be live for a little bit longer. I just want to come back on Lukaku there though, because I did say, even when we still had Mourinho, people are like, get rid of Mourinho, get rid of the board, get rid of Lukaku. I think Matic is a really interesting one, but Lukaku, I think you're touching on it there. I think Lukaku is a problem to solve. I don't think Lukaku is a sell problem because we're not going to get anywhere near what we paid for him. Somehow, the new manager's got a real challenge there because you're dealing with a striker who can't control the ball, who's going through a terrible patch at the moment. We're either going to have to take a massive loss on him, but before we do that, I still think we've got to try and find a way to get the best out of Lukaku, even if it's just to pump his value up to sell him.
Yeah, potentially. And that's what I mean. We have to change the way we play to do that because, like I said before, we've seen the flaws in his game, so we know what he's not good at. But if we did play in a different way where we had wingers cross the ball quickly, get him into areas where he can run at players with space and create space and there's movement, we could see a slightly different Lukaku. Do you know what I mean? But in theory, it's just whether or not he's up to it and if he is thinking about the blues of Jose, because if he is thinking that and his confidence is down, he might think to himself, do you know what? I've been receiving a lot of stick off Man United fans. I might not want to be in this situation as well. His confidence could be that low because if he doesn't improve in that spell of time, say he gets a run of 5, 6, 7, 8 games, and it still looks the same, the pressure's only going to mount on him because he's going to be even more exposed. And especially if the interim guys, whoever it is, want to bring in the youngsters like Chong or Greenwood, or start playing Martial up front, or keep playing Rashford up front, or when Alexis gets back fit, he might be firing on all cylinders. You don't know. So these guys could actually play Lukaku out the team anyway. So it's going to be very interesting because, like with when a new manager comes, the players are going to be eager to impress. Not only when the new manager comes, but during the interim as well, because they're all going to want to get in the team. The players who haven't been playing regularly in their positions.
Pereira comes into the equation again, doesn't it?
Pereira, your Freds, your Alexises, the youths that weren't even getting on the bench.
See, this is what excites me, and we've both said it. This is what excites me. People go on about signings. We've said this on the Sunday Night Show. You change the manager, we've got a good team. I'm not saying it's a title-winning team, but we've got a top 4 team already. We've got a good team. I just hope the new manager picks him because more importantly than Lukaku, I think Matic and Fellaini need to come out of that team. I'm not saying they ain't got a future, but by the brand of football that we need to play, they need to come out that midfield and we need to get people like Herrera, Pogba, Fred, Pereira. They've got to be the 4 to start building this United team. And I really hope that we see that. But positivity again.
That's what it's all about, positivity, man. I'm just buzzing. I'm gonna go off to a meal now with some family that I had planned in anyway. I'm just buzzing with it. I'm gonna have a few drinks tonight. I'm gonna be on BBC Radio 5 Live tomorrow and go down to the studios there at BBC to talk more about this. And it's just crazy. I just didn't see it coming. Like I said, my last video. In my review of the Liverpool game, when I was pissed off, I know a lot of people have been looking at some of the comments. A lot of people have been saying, "Wow, I don't normally see Flex this angry."
I think you should go and watch your last couple of fan cams just to make yourself even feel better about the situation is now. And obviously, who'd have thought we'd be so excited to play Cardiff and Huddersfield? I mean, I just can't wait. And Bournemouth and Newcastle. There's just. We've got our club back, like Lance was saying, and a lot of people have said it. Just feels like we've got our club back, and it might get worse before it gets better. But as long as we've got the right people doing the right sort of thing, maybe some of the players will be found out. Maybe Pogba will be massively inconsistent, and we'll say, look, hands up. Mourinho was right about him. He was wrong about everything else, but he was, there's all eyes on these players now.
There you go. That's it, man. Listen, I'm going to get off. Thanks for having me. Guys, everyone smash the like button. Keep sharing. It's been fantastic. 10K watching is just brilliant. Obviously, Soccer AM in the comments. People are watching. Everyone's looking at Man United right now. And still, don't be afraid to keep voicing your opinions, guys, whatever it is, man. Don't just follow the train. Say what you think. Say as you feel. Say as you see.
Cheers, Flex. I'll speak to you tomorrow, pal.
No problem. Laters.
Ta, pal. And you know, that is very, very true, what Flex is saying there, because one thing this community has never been from start to now is, you know, quiet about what your opinion is. And you know, some of you were Mourinho out a long, long time ago, and you've been proved right, but I don't think you'll dwell on it. I don't think you're that sort of people. I don't think you will dwell on it. I think it's about, he needed to go, let's move on. I heard one fan today on the radio say Mourinho's a horrible person as well, get him out, and he got pulled up. And I said it on my video outside Old Trafford. I've never met Jose Mourinho. I don't know whether he's a horrible person or not. That's not what this is about. It's not about the human being. It's about a Manchester United manager failing. And if you're on this planet for another 50 years, you'll probably see another Manchester United manager fail. But now needs to be the time where that doesn't happen. And there'll be a lot of people, you know, I'm going to be totally honest with you. You know, press conference reaction on Friday, no Jose. I'm happy, but it is weird. And there is an element of sadness, but that's only because it's change. It's a change that needed to happen. And I agree with that change. But no Jose Mourinho press conference. You know, we're going to have to redo the thumbnails. It's, you know, we've got loads of little Jose pictures and he's gone. He's gone. Just much the same as what happened with Van Gaal. So, yeah, look, it's the right decision. It's the right decision for Manchester United, and I'm very, very happy with it. Please do drop a like on video. We're still live for a good half an hour yet. And subscribe if you're new, bottom right-hand corner. But we are, you know, honestly, I'm so pleased for everybody. This is for everybody. This is for the fans. What were we talking about on the show last night for everyone who was watching? We were like, as fans, we've got to do something. We've got to get our club back. What do we do? I don't know. But, you know, we've got to do something. We've got to come together and we've got to do something. 24 hours later, the board have done it for us. And maybe the board were looking at the fan opinion. Maybe they were watching the United stand. Maybe they were looking at a certain forum. Maybe they were looking on social media at the reactions to their official tweets and their official YouTube videos. And, you know, a culmination of things. And they should look at fan. You know, you can't just say it when things are going bad. The club should be looking at fan opinion when it's going well. Because what's happened, you know, we don't talk about the club in a bad way because we're anti the club. We're pro the club. And the minute it's flipped, I haven't seen much negativity. And the minute it's flipped, if they want to run the club like a business, I said this last night because I used to work in business and finance and risk, but I've followed football all my life. They need to understand football can work well with business. And look at what's happened. We sack Mourinho, the stock price goes up. We sack Mourinho, people are buying Manchester United shirts again. We sack Mourinho, people are going to the Huddersfield game again. We sack Mourinho, you know, Rance is going back to games again. You know, there's positivity. And I'll tell you what, you stick with the United stand over the next few weeks and you watch the amount of positivity that's there, the amount of people are watching, the amount of people who want to call in. Because what will happen is, over the next few weeks, we'll be talking about the new manager. Oh, I don't know whether he's getting that right. I'd like to see a midfield like this. No, I want a midfield like this. He shouldn't be playing there. He should be playing there. But it's not in a, oh, he's fucking lost the team. Get him out, he's shit. It's in a more constructive way. It's in a, this is my opinion. I wouldn't have him in the midfield. I'd play him. But it's in a positive way. And I can't wait for it. I can't wait for the game on Saturday night. I'm so excited about it. I can't wait for the fan cams after the game, where, you know, people shouldn't really be moaning. We've got some positivity back. It's great. Jose should have had to end the season. Wrong decision, says Owen Nichols. I don't think it is. I really don't think it is. I think it's the right decision. I think it's totally the right decision for Manchester United. I really do. Anyway, we're going to take some of your calls. We're going to get some more calls in as well. But I just want to sort of recap where we're at with Manchester United at the moment for those joining us a little bit later, because we've been on air for about an hour and a half. It's flown by. Absolutely flown by. So, Jose Mourinho was sacked this morning. You can see my reaction, which was on the channel. And you can see the... what else can you see? You can see me outside Old Trafford reacting to it as well with the Sportsman. The latest in relation to Manchester United's next approach, it looking like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will come into the club as an interim manager with Mike Phelan. Now, the interesting thing about this is that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is mould manager in Norway at the moment. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer comes into the club for 5 months. Then we get Pochettino in the summer. Solskjaer's lost his job to come here for 5 months. How does that benefit Solskjaer? Does he then go and hopefully get another Premier League job? It's an interesting one. Anyway, the latest on that is United continue to have discussions with potential caretaker Solskjaer. So if successful, then he or another may be announced tonight or tomorrow, is the understanding. So it could be later tonight. We could be live tonight with the Solskjaer announcement, which would be interesting. Portuguese outlet Radio Antena 1 actually said that Zidane will be announced in the next 24 to 48 hours. Pochettino in the Times saying that he's interested. And who else? Laurent Blanc was favourite this morning. It looks like he's drifted out. So lots going on around Manchester United. Obviously, Paul Pogba put the Instagram post out saying, caption this. Gary Neville put a tweet out saying, caption this. You can do one as well. A lot of people unhappy about that. I don't know why. Be unhappy about the opinion. I'm not happy about the opinion. But actually embrace the opinion. This is one of the best pundits in the country openly admitting that he wants Paul Pogba out the club. He might be proved right, but it's his opinion. You know, Scholesy, Ferdinand, they've said stuff. You know, we've embraced that. You might not agree with it. Roy Keane says it. You know, I ain't got a problem with what Gary Neville said. I disagree with it, but I think, you know, him nailing his... He has now got an issue, Gary Neville, where when he's live on Sky Sports in the future, he has got to be... I'm not a fan of Paul Pogba, and Pogba's got a winning round. That for me is always a good thing. What else? Where do we go from here? The door's open to the youth. The door's open to the transfer window in a couple of weeks. People like Fred, Bailly, Pereira, they should be coming back into the fray. They should be given an opportunity. Sanchez should be absolutely on the first plane back, trying to get fit now. I believe we've got a good team, and I can believe. And you look at the next few games in the league: Cardiff, Huddersfield, Bournemouth, Newcastle. We could get 12 points from those games. Not easy, but we could. Because, yes, if Solskjaer comes in or anyone else comes in, they're new and we should not put pressure on them. We've got to be patient. But the players should coast it for the manager. The players should want to point approve. If you're a Manchester United player, let's use Paul Pogba because he's always the example. If you're Paul Pogba, you go into training today, you go into training tomorrow with an extra 20% because the manager that's subdued you is gone. Now the eyes are on you. They will be on you because people will be like, was Mourinho right to drop Pogba or is Mourinho destroyed Pogba? So Pogba's game should go through the roof. What we need to see, and somebody said in the live comments, and they're very, very right, we need a leader. We need a leader. Jose Mourinho, weirdly, another thing, totally and utterly abused the captaincy of Manchester United. He just handed it out like confetti to the player that had been here the longest. So you got Chris Smalling in the captaincy, Ashley Young, Antonio Valencia. Not leaders. Some would say not even footballers, but definitely not leaders. Whoever comes in, whether it is Solskjaer, whether it is Zidane, whether it is Pochettino, whoever it is, they've got to value the captaincy. And it's weird that Mourinho never did, considering he had one of the Premier League's best captains ever in John Terry. A leader on the pitch is absolutely essential. And there's so much that can be improved, and I think there's so much on the agenda. I'm even thinking about it with the United stand now. Like so many shows we can do over the coming days. You know, transfer shows. Who's the next leader? What's going to be our best 11? Who is the next interim manager? There's just so much to be pleased about. And I'm so happy that United have done this. And, you know, is changing the board still on the agenda? I think it has to be. But I also think they should be applauded. You know, Ed Woodward's a weird person because he gets a lot of stick. But I remember when we signed Pogba and everyone was loving him. And today, I think he deserves some credit because that was a decision. I didn't expect it. I thought it was going to happen yesterday, slim chance, but it did. Oscar Svensson's made a contribution. He says, dressing the bride, glaziers are selling. Well, if they do, they do. And Smargot says, Solskjaer has more experience now than he had when he took over. That's good. It's looking like Solskjaer. I mean, we'll keep a lot of it back for when we do, but it is looking like Solskjaer. I'm going to open up Discord in a minute. Crazy day, says Draughty Devil. Yeah, it has been. It's funny because I was actually messaging him at the time that it came out. So, yeah, it has been a crazy day, but it's a very good positive day as well. Rusty James says, will Pogba leave Manchester United still? Well, will Pogba leave Manchester United? Will Martial sign the contract now? Will David De Gea signed the contract now, considering his agent is the same agent as Jose Mourinho's? There are lots of ramifications. As I said, this won't all go plain. This will not all be plain sailing. You know, people who think it's going to be plain sailing, you're wrong. We will have bumps in the road. We will lose players, and anything's on the agenda now. But the most important thing is the right decision has been made, and that for me is really, really, really important as we step forward with Manchester United. Really, really important indeed. Where I need to answer this question because it was one that somebody put up an hour and a half ago, and they wanted to know my opinion on it. Where does Jose Mourinho rank between Moyes and Van Gaal? For me. He ranks with I think Van Gaal better. I never ever thought I would say that, but I think Van Gaal better. I think Mourinho better than Moyes because Moyes wasn't really there long enough, but I think Van Gaal better. And I think this is what I want to be clear on this when I say it, because we're not saying Van Gaal did well. We're not saying that at all. Glenn Goodwin says, would you take Allegri? And Rachel Idabar says, Europa League is going to be lit. I don't know how to read that, Rachel, whether you mean we're going to be lit or not. Would I take Allegri? I think Allegri is too much of a risk. I think he's too pragmatic again. But that's my personal opinion. Look, Van Gaal needed to be sacked. Moyes needed to be sacked. Mourinho needed to be sacked. So when I'm ranking these managers, all three of them shouldn't have been Manchester United manager in the first place, and all three of them are failures. Ranking failure is always a weird thing. Moyes would be at the bottom because he was here for less time, and he never should have been United manager. Van Gaal and Mourinho. Van Gaal for me ranks higher than Mourinho simply because Van Gaal walked out with an FA Cup and we were fifth on goal difference, and although I didn't agree with his style of football, he had a philosophy. He promoted youth. It wasn't a great one, but you could see what it was. Mourinho came in with a load of promises that weren't fulfilled. I'm going to use the youth. You used Scott McTominay. I'm going to play good football. You didn't. I'm going to get rid of the injury record. You didn't. I don't know why he said that because it's impossible. United have got a terrible injury record. I'm going to leave this club in a better situation than when I left it. You really didn't. So I think Mourinho's successes, a Carabao Cup compared to Van Gaal's FA Cup, well, the FA Cup's better. And then you're left with the Europa League. But as I was saying before, the Europa League is a bit of a myth. We did win it, and I loved it, but as I said, we didn't finish in the top four that season, so we wouldn't have been in the Champions League. The only way we got in the Champions League was winning the Europa League, and that Europa League was like pulling teeth. We grinded our way through it. The semi-final second leg at Old Trafford in the last minute, Guidetti, ex-Man City, missed the sitter that would have knocked us out. So you win what you deserve to win, but at no point has Mourinho's career at United ever been consistent or a flash in the pan. We had the 4-0 FC at the start of one season. We started another season quite well. But percentage-wise of his career, we've had about 20% at best that's been good. The rest of it's been bad. And I think as a manager, that's always an issue. Shiraz Kamath Fitness says, agree or disagree, but the United Stand is the #1 fan channel on YouTube, period. Well, thanks for that contribution, Shiraz. And I'm glad that you've enjoyed it. And I'm glad that we're coming through, well, we're out. We're past this last 3 months where it's been pretty toxic and divided, and we've had a divided fan base. And I hope now that we can enjoy a united fan base that gets on with it. Solskjaer, is he an attacking manager? It's difficult to say because of the sort of league that he's working in, but you know what? I want to answer that from Oliver. I want to take some live comments, then we'll do some Discord, because the live comments are the life and soul of Manchester United, the United Stand. So I do want to answer some of them. Solskjaer might be appointed as Director of Football after the interim role expires, says Kizala Chakrabarti. He could do. What are your thoughts on Pochettino as manager? Well, what I would say about Pochettino is that we have a situation at Manchester United whereby the Times are saying that Pochettino wants to be considered for the United job. And everyone's like, we can't get Pochettino now. I've said it. We can't get Pochettino till the summer. But I always thought of that in the way that, well, we'll keep Mourinho till May, then we'll go for Pochettino. The fact that Mourinho's gone now in December means that speculation about Pochettino is there to rumble. And if Pochettino shows any positivity towards the United job, it's all right thinking, I'll take the job in the summer. But if Spurs get whiff of that, why would they retain a manager that wants to go in the summer? What are they building? They surely would have to get in the mindset of, well, if we're losing him in the summer anyway, Do we disrupt the ship now because we're pissed off with the manager who wants to go? And they might push the button themselves. The thing is, Daniel Levy will want money, and United might say, we're not paying you any money till the summer. Nicholas P says, is a caretaker a good idea? They sometimes do really well purely off the back of change and force the board to consider them full time. It's a great point, that is, by Nicholas, because the most important thing with that is that we've seen it time and time again with clubs where a caretaker manager comes in, they win 4 or 5 on the spin, the football's really good, they get rewarded with a 3-year contract, and then it drops off very quickly. I think if United appoint a caretaker manager, they must resist that. Even if we won every game between now and May, do not give them a new contract until the summer. If an interim manager comes in, they're an interim manager till May. Nothing they can do, whether it's winning the Champions League or not, wait till we've won the Champions League, because managing a club for 6 months is very different to managing a club for 2 years, and he could be a flash in the pan. Antonio Conte better not come to Manchester United. Sims Van. A few people asking about Conte. I personally don't want Conte. If we announced Conte as manager of Manchester United, I would say in a video, I don't want him. I'll back him because you've got to back somebody, but I don't want him. It's the same as Matic and Lukaku. I made it abundantly clear I didn't want either of those players, but I would back them. And with Conte, he's a Chelsea reject. He's a pragmatic defensive coach, and he is also a manager that falls out with players. Imrano TV's made a contribution. He says, Mark, do you think fans have a right to be disappointed if players like Pogba start playing well now that Jose has gone? It is upsetting that guys getting paid millions couldn't do better when we fans were suffering the most. You can flip it the other way. It's a good point, but you could flip it the other way. Imrano TV. What if Pogba and everyone had played really well and we'd kept Mourinho even longer? I think, you know, the players have a right to be as frustrated as the fans. Some would say more so. They're the ones who are not being able to play the game that they want to play. They're the ones who are being suppressed. They're the ones who are, you know, seeing the favouritism on the training ground. They're the ones who are, you know, not having a very good relationship with their manager. They're the ones who maybe aren't happy. It's all about personal opinion. I personally think that the best things happen for Manchester United, and what will happen from here in relation to the players is that they will be exposed, and the eyes of the fans will be on those players. And if people like Anthony Martial, Marcus Rashford continue to be consistent, then maybe they aren't good enough to be at this club. Like Roy Keane says, you know, players come and go. There's no guarantee that in fact, I would tell you now, Eric Bailly, Fred, Pereira, Pogba, Martial, Rashford, Lingard, they won't all be at success at United. Hopefully they will, but they won't all live up to the potential we want, because that's football. Sharath Kamath Fitness says, Mark, I want to talk about Pochettino. If you can get me on the call. Thanks, I'm on the call in Q2. Okay, I'll have a look at that in a minute. Zidane wouldn't take a temporary role, says Stupa 8 Nova. I mean, I think the same about Jardim, the same about Laurent Blanc. It'd be great to get any of those managers, interim manager till May, and assess whether they're right for the job. But it was well within the right of them managers to say, I'm not signing for 5 months, so you can get rid of me if you don't like something. I want some stability. I want some security. I want 2 years. So maybe that's what United are looking at. BB saying we're going to get a director of football too, which is good news. That is very, very good news that Manchester United are going to do that. Because we definitely do that. We definitely need that. I heard Paul Ince saying that we should get Steve Bruce. I mean, this is why ex-footballers aren't necessarily the best when it comes to opinion, because Steve Bruce has just been sacked by Aston Villa. Steve Bruce is not a Manchester United manager. Would you consider someone like Rafa Benitez as Glenn Goodwin? Not for me, simply because he's managed Liverpool. No. Aditya says, why not Nicky Butt? Why not Michael Carrick? You know, the club clearly aren't going to go internal. I don't know why. Would you let whoever is the manager money to spend in January, says Eggy1405, or would you wait until the summer to buy when a permanent manager is appointed? I mean, I think that is the $1 million question, because whether we sign in January or not, has it really changed from where we were yesterday? We're still answering it the same way, I believe. If we've got a manager who's interim, should they be given money in January when we might have a different manager in May? If Mourinho was still in charge in January, should we still give him money when he's probably not going to be in charge in May? A lot of people would say no. However, and I was saying no a few weeks ago, but if there is a player that is available that any manager's going to want, then do the deal. Like if Koulibaly is available, do the deal. Get him in the club a little bit early, get him integrated into the team in the Premier League, because any manager's going to want a Koulibaly. But if you're thinking of signing up Jerome Boateng, don't do it, because the new manager might not want them. I think if we're going to sign anyone in January, it's got to be a player that any new manager's going to want, because otherwise you might be throwing money away. We might not spend any money in January. We might not, because the January transfer window is difficult. Unless you've got somebody who's coming towards the end of their contract like Alexis Sanchez, or you're going to spend a lot of money like we did on Juan Mata and they're not in the first team, it's difficult to do. And I look at what United need. CDM's the position. I think CDM is the position we should really, really be focusing on. We really should. We're getting closer to 318,000 subscribers, as you can see in the top right-hand corner. If you are new to the channel, please do subscribe. Bottom right-hand corner, there's a little icon. Click it, subscribe. And if you have subscribed or you haven't, click the bell at the bottom. Get all your notifications on, because it's going to be a very, very busy day tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after, and the day after. Because at some point we're going to appoint the new manager. I've got loads of ideas for programs in my head, what our best 11 is going to be, and all that. There's loads and loads to discuss. Then we're building towards Cardiff. It doesn't stop. It's going to be relentless. And in under 2 weeks, the Transfer Daily's back as well. Luke Ledger says, I never wanted Van Gaal to be sacked. I honestly think he was building something by promoting the youth, and I think we would be in a better place now. I mean, Luke, it's a fair point. For me, I did want him to go. I really did. I felt that was the right thing to do for us. But I think Manchester United board have made the bad mistakes with the last 3 managers. I think they've gone for managers that are, I would say, pragmatic, not Manchester United managers. The rumours, the noises coming out of the club at the moment are positive noises. They're positive noises that they want somebody who knows what the club's all about, that's ingrained in what United's all about, and that for me is a real positive. Mr. Johnson, this is a great opportunity to clean house. We should hold off on new signings until we get our new structure set. I think that's one of the most important things, actually. I think we must clear out. We must clear the deadwood. This is not even Mourinho's fault. This goes back to Van Gaal. It really does. It goes back to almost David Moyes. There is deadwood in that club that must go. There is people like Darmian, Ashley Young, Antonio Valencia, Phil Jones, Marouane Fellaini. They are players that need to go because they're either not good enough or they are coming towards the end of their careers, and they must be moved on. That is something that needs to happen. Whether we can do that in the immediates, I don't know. The most important thing is, though, Phil Jones and Ashley Young are queuing up to sign a new contract. Whether Mourinho's here or not, those sort of things must not happen. But we'll see. Drawty, you're live. How you doing, pal?
I'm all right. Cheers, mate. You?
You know I'm all right. I'm absolutely ecstatic, mate. I am. I think the time of it's brilliant. A week before Christmas. It's the most wonderful time of the year. We're hanging up our stockings on the wall. The Christmas party's back on. It's great, and but I don't feel any guilt either. I think it's 100% the right decision. It's never right somebody's sacked, but it is right. I mean, I don't know how you feel.
I feel bad for the guy. It's not nice for anyone to lose their job, but I think he was fighting a losing battle in the end. The football wasn't good. He's still living in a hotel. I just don't think it was ever really going to work out. It's not like Sir Alex who could turn it around. I know Jose's got an amazing past record of, winning big trophies when it really matters. But I just think this job at this time was just not a good fit for him or his style of football.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, apparently it came as a bit of a shock to Mourinho. I mean, it sort of, for me, that sums up Mourinho's problem. It shouldn't have come as a shock. Living in a hotel, lost the players, not picking players that really are the sort of players he should be picking as a United manager, lost the fans, 6th in the league, 11 points off 4th place, negative goal difference, poor football, moaning all the time. I mean, if it came to as a shock to him this morning, I'd worry about where Mourinho's head is, that he would be shocked about that.
Yeah, but it depends on what kind of reassurances he was given from Woodward. It might have been in the back room that they've been saying, look, your job's safe. We believe in you, but maybe there's been some kind of outward pressure. Someone said to them, look, you need to get rid and cut your losses now. But Because if it came as a shock to him, the only thing I could think of is he genuinely was given reassurances from higher up. Otherwise, all the signs are there for him to go. So why would he be shocked unless he'd literally been told by someone else that his job was safe?
Well, they can be ruthless as well. I mean, we mustn't forget this. You know, people call Ed Woodward an idiot and everything like that. He's a brilliant businessman, and businessmen are used to being ruthless. And, you know, football understanding may not be the best, but they were ruthless with Van Gaal. He wasn't expecting it. He just won an FA Cup. Moyes,
I knew about
was sacked before.
It
Moyes was sacked without knowing as well. And you're right. Maybe Mourinho had been given those reassurances because he should have expected the sack. But, you know, they've been ruthless, haven't they?
Yeah, but look at Van Gaal. I mean, I remember when I was told before he'd been sacked, even during the final, he was going. The whole media knew about it. It's the same with when... Well, it was disgraceful when Van Gaal was sacked. He's just won the FA Cup, and everyone knew before the game had even started that he was going. Apparently, apart from him. With Jose this time, it seems that there's been no leaks. So the only thing you could think of is that all the clubs signed to the media where he's staying, and then at the very last minute they've gone, "You're out." That's the only thing I could think of, because at the moment our club is not very good at keeping secrets.
I'll tell you what, that was something I was talking about before. Because I was actually messaging you this morning in the coffee shop, and I finished. I went on Twitter, and Simon Sloan says Jose's gone, and my mind sort of hesitated for a second. Then it was like, shit, he doesn't put stuff like that on. He's not a clickbaiter. Mourinho is gone. And then I messaged you, and obviously I got out and did the live video. But that came like yesterday. I was hoping he would be sacked, but I was like, he ain't going to be sacked because there's, you know, United are like a sieve. It would be known. But today, they got something out there for the, and it's the same with transfers. They got something out there today. And there's this myth about the New York Stock Exchange, but they got it out there with no one knowing, which again enhanced the enjoyment for me, because you sometimes with the signing you're like, we're going to sign Pogba and it takes 3 weeks before it's official. Mourinho's going to get the sack. It takes a few hours, but it just came out and you were like, shit, brilliant, you know. And so that was nice as well, I think.
I thought you were pranking me when you messaged me. I thought you just said Mourinho's gone, and I thought, nah, he's not gone. So I went over Twitter, I had a look at everything. I was like, really? He's actually gone? The club have actually done something? I didn't believe it for a little bit until I went to their Twitter page, and I thought, he's actually gone. Jesus.
Well, you did say to me yesterday, why are you going to Manchester? And I said, I've got something to do. And, you know, I should have gone 3 months ago. We could have saved this season. But no, it was funny. I don't go to Manchester that often. I certainly don't go very often on a Tuesday morning and coincide with my arrival, Mourinho being sacked. So I'll never forget that. But look, it's been a very interesting day, and you know it's not often you know. I think everyone would have thought yesterday. So they actually, you know, it's a bit like releasing a new album or a new film, isn't it? The timing. Not perfect for Jose, who apparently rolled into Carrington not expecting it, but from how you create a buzz around your club, the timing, and I think sometimes United get criticised for this, the timing of it and what they've done to their club in a day, because it's been wall-to-wall United on a day where there's nothing else to talk about, and you know the stock exchange has gone up, the value's gone up. I'm sure people are buying United shirts, as I said before. I bet people are on FIFA 19 doing United careers and Football Manager. The buzz around the club is back. And the board should take notice of that, because they are businessmen. But I always believe that football and business need to go hand in hand. If you treat the fans well, you'll make more money.
Absolutely. I mean, the club did what it had to do today. We didn't think they had it in them. We didn't think Woodward was going to do it, or the Glazers, but they have, and fair play to them. It doesn't improve the situation in terms of the playing quality at the moment. It's going to be interesting to see who they bring in next.
We'll go on to that, because I want to talk to you about Pogba, because I know you're one of the people who doesn't like Pogba, but obviously we're really good mates, and I want to talk about that. But let's do the next manager first. I mean, what do you think is going to go on there? Do you agree with an interim manager? Do you think if it's, say it is Solskjaer and they do well, should he be kept, or do you think they should stick to the plan of who they really want in the summer?
I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity getting an interim at this stage, especially with the January transfer window just around the corner. You'd have a couple of weeks right now, because you know the Christmas period is stacked with fixtures, And it's a good time to look at the players and see what's going to happen before the new year heads in. So if you do have a new manager, say a Zidane or a Pochettino or whoever, they've got a good couple of weeks to get with the players, see what they're like, see what their playing level is at. And then in January, try and tweak it a little bit, maybe bring in 1 or 2 signings. Don't go overboard, though. But bringing an interim manager now, they're not going to be allowed to sign anyone in January. Why would they? Because they're buying for the next manager. And that's not really the way United should be approaching it right now. Then again, if they do go for an interim, I mean, they did say about Carrick, but then there were rumours saying that Carrick's not going to be doing it. It's going to be someone else, say like a Laurent Blanc or whoever, just for a short period. That's more just to get the players playing. I don't think there's going to be any changes in January. So for me, personally, I'd want to see a more long-term manager, but I can kind of see why the club would take their time, because it's a massive decision. I mean, you've just sacked supposedly one of the best managers in world football. Where do you go from there? Who's got a better CV than Mourinho, apart from Pep?
I mean, I don't know about you, though, because I know you did sort of verge on sticking with Mourinho up until quite recently. But for me, the thing that always sticks in my head is the style of football. I just think that Manchester United have to play a certain brand, and I don't think, when Mourinho came in, I expected a title. What I have been saying for the last few months is whoever comes in, I'm not expecting a title. I don't know when we're going to win the league. I don't know if we will win the league again in the next 10 years. But what we must do, if we're going to lose games, we must lose it the United way and not this weird park the bus negative way, because if you can't win things, you've got to do it in the United way. And I think that was always the thing with Jose. The Wikipedia page is great. He is still one of the best managers the world has had, definitely. And maybe he is finished, or maybe he just needs to go to a different league. I think in the Premier League he's finished for now, but maybe football, it is secular. Maybe it will go back to what suits him. But for me, it was just the style of football for Jose. That was the reason I was like, ultimately, he's got to go.
I mean, he might end up going to Real Madrid and doing very well. We don't know, but not every manager is suited to the club they go to, no matter how good they are. I mean, remember when Clough went to Leeds? Yeah, it didn't work out very well. 44 days, was it?
Yeah. I'm not that old. I don't actually remember it, but I know the story.
Yeah, but the point is, not every manager is suited to every situation you walk into.
Well, a lot of people say he just wasn't a Manchester United manager when you look at it. We desperately wanted a title, so we sort of ignored the reality that he isn't a United manager.
But we know what kind of football we were going to get with Jose. I mean,
we can't be really victims in it, can we? I suppose we got what we and look at Chelsea. The last 6 months there, he basically replicated it over the last 3 years. Not my fault. I'm not backed in the board. Football's crap. Lost the players. It's the warning signs were there.
Look, I feel really sorry for the guy, because he's not who he used to be. When he first came to England, he was a really happy, charismatic manager who walked into the room and everyone took to him straight away. The English media loved him. He was the darling of English football, in terms of management, even when Sir Alex was around. He was a great adversary to Sir Alex and Wenger at the time. I just feel like he's fallen out of love with football. He doesn't seem very happy. He's very negative all the time. He's falling out with the players. It's sad to see, to be honest. Even Martin Tyler said on Sky Sports earlier, it's almost like, is Jose actually okay? Is his mental well-being okay at the moment? Because he's living in a hotel. He's very disconnected. And I just don't think, maybe it's the wrong time for him anyway. Maybe he does need to take some time out and just focus on himself. There's a lot of pressure managing Manchester United, especially after Sir Alex Ferguson, the couple of years that we've had. All this nasty stuff going on around about him. It's at the end of the day, he's still a human, and we can say what we like on social media. It's very easy to tweet something and say something,
which is why that's why I think it should stop. I've said this numerous times today. We're a classy club. I totally understand why people were irritated by Mourinho and fed up and annoyed with him, because he was our manager, but he's not our manager now. We've got what we believe needed to happen, and we should, unless Mourinho starts coming out calling us viruses, which I don't think he'll be allowed to do, because I'm sure there's some sort of golden severance. We should just be like, look, it didn't work out. We move on. We don't need to keep going on about him. I would agree with that.
So at the end of the day, it's done. You know, we move on. It's now the next stage for United. How do they rebuild?
I do think we could give him back under the Trades Description Act, though, because you are right. We didn't get the Mourinho, and I think that's the sad thing. I really wanted him after Sir Alex Ferguson, and I think if we'd got him then, we would have got the Mourinho, because it's sort of like we didn't make him damaged goods. That Chelsea thing, that last 6 months at Chelsea was when Mourinho lost it after that thing with the female physio. He lost it, and we inherited that. But I think if we'd got him straight after Sir Alex, we'd have got the real Mourinho.
Well, the thing is with Mourinho, I mean, I think after the Europa, I thought, you know, we've turned a corner here. It just didn't work out that way. At the end of the day, Man City are just too good at the moment, and Liverpool are improving all the time. So you're already third down the pecking order, and then you've got Spurs, who are playing better football with a manager who likes to use youth. I think he just ran out of time, and I just think he didn't evolve quick enough.
I was just looking around there, and Mr. DT, who I don't normally like to mention, has said that who's the specialist in failure now? Obviously having a pop at our Jose. Well, Jose may not be our manager anymore, but I'll stick up for him against him and say it's rich for that guy to call somebody a specialist in failure, because I think he's took more L's than a bag of L's over the last few months, and the United Stand victory over Arsenal Fan TV should be coming out very soon. So if you want to talk about failure, have a big long look in a mirror, and you'll need a long mirror to fit that head in. But on with Manchester United. Look, this is it. It's got nothing to do with Arsenal fans. You know, they act like they're winning the league anytime soon. I actually wouldn't mind. I've got a bet on with him that we'll finish above them. I was ready to pay it out a couple of weeks ago. Part of me thinks now, you know what? All right, we might not get top four, but Arsenal won't either. We might actually leapfrog them. Ray Carl Brown Amore says if he was going to get the sack after the Newcastle game, but Pogba and Martial saved him, and we'll cast our minds to today, the same players he turned his back on again. Sacking was coming all day long. Right, Pogba. Let's talk about Pogba, because what I would say about Pogba is that I believe we're going to see the best of Pogba now. If we don't see the best of Pogba and we see the inconsistent Pogba, then it will be one of the few things that Mourinho was right about, and we do need to sell him if under the next manager he's inconsistent as he has been under this. Where do you stand on the Pogba thing? And feel free to bring in the Gary Neville thing, who I don't think Gary Neville should delete it. All he's done is publicly reacted to something and let his true feelings be known, that he doesn't rate Pogba and doesn't want him here.
I think the whole problem with Pogba is, I mean, don't get me wrong, he is a damn good footballer. He's world class on his day. I mean, seeing clips of him at Juventus, he can, you know, switch a game up on its head. I just think at the moment, it's just not been a great situation with him and the manager. I don't think the two of them communicate very well. In terms of the whole Gary Neville thing, put it this way. If they're putting out that kind of tweet after the Liverpool loss, where everyone's really upset, you know, it's not good for Manchester United, it sort of sends out the message the club are, well, his PR or whoever are focused more on their brand than they are what's been happening at the club, and they're just a bit out of touch. Being a guy who's worked in branding and stuff like that, it's not good for Adidas. You know, I'm not going to blame Paul for that one. I see where people are coming from, saying, you know, it's not his fault, it's a scheduled tweet. But I would say it shouldn't be scheduled anyway, because after the Liverpool result, it's just, you shouldn't put stuff like that after, you know, saying here to create at Man United. There's already a lot of negativity around the club at this point because of the loss. He didn't play in that game. It kind of doesn't make any sense. I don't blame him for it. I blame whoever's been advising him on it. And they probably should have looked at it beforehand. They would know it's been scheduled for then and say, we probably shouldn't send this out, take it back. It's not his fault. And I can also see where Gary Neville's coming from, because, you know, it does look like the player himself has come out and is taking shots because it's come off of his account. If I was him, I'd be talking to my team saying, really, that's your fault. You know, you shouldn't have done that. He's taken the brunt of that, and which is unfair, to be completely honest. I'm just hoping now that Pogba is going to play to what he could do. You know, when he was at Juventus, if he plays with the freedom, his vision of passing is incredible. He can pick a pass that no one else can see on the pitch. He's got loads of world-class quality. The trouble is, as I said before, and I have been consistent on this as well, he's a Hollywood player playing in a pantomime team. He's got lots and lots of skill. He's like the top A-lister, but he's been surrounded with substandard actors who can't do the job. You can't perform to your level if you've got players who aren't that good around you. It just doesn't work. He can do the hard things very, very, very well, but he's not so hot when it comes to the simple stuff. That's because he doesn't think that way. He doesn't think in a sideways pass. He's always looking to go forward. But when the rest of the team are being coached by the manager saying, look, defend, 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 and you've got a player who's like, well, no, I want to show my flair. I want to go forwards. It doesn't work because he has got no one around him to make him what he is. When he had Pirlo at Juventus, he was free-flowing. He could do whatever he wanted to do. He doesn't have the quality of Manchester United around him at the moment, unfortunately.
There's a comment here. Let me just see if I can get it back. Okay. Here it is. Dyspraxia stand together as one. Says, would he be different if his father was still alive? That's in relation to Mourinho. We'll never know. We'll never know. I think Rui Faria's departure ruined his defensive game, to be honest with you. But a little bit of an update here from David McDonnell in the Mirror. If people remember his name, he was the person on the Friday night before the Newcastle game said that Mourinho was going to be sacked. And sort of staked his career on it. Well, he's still writing. I think he was right. I think Mourinho was going to be sacked, and I think Gary Neville's rant sort of made a few people change their mind and give him a little bit longer. But he's saying that Solskjaer, a club legend whose dramatic goal in added time clinched the Champions League and treble in '99, is currently in charge of FC Molde in his Norway, but he's understood to have a clause in his newly signed contract that allows him to leave for United. He's set to return to Molde at the end of the Premier League season, but his first game in the United dugout will be on Saturday at Cardiff. So it looks like this was the big question I had, Drorty, actually, was why would Solskjaer leave a job to come to Manchester United knowing that he's only going to be here for a short period of time? And it's almost a bit like work experience, isn't it? Go to United for 5 months, do what you can, and we've got a job for you here. And if it works out really well, United might offer you a job, or you might get a Premier League job offer as well.
I just think Solskjaer coming in, it's a bizarre choice. I know he's ex-United. I know he's a legend. Love Ollie, especially when they hammered Forest and he scored 4. Joke.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed that one. 8-1.
Okay, no. It's an inside joke. You know what I mean? But I think it's a case of...
There's a bit of romance about it, though, isn't there? I mean, they could be going... There are available managers that they could be going for. Laurent Blanc, Jardim, maybe even Zidane. They're obviously waiting for somebody for the summer, which is good because we don't know who it's going to be. But there's a bit of romance here. I mean, it sort of makes me think, what can he do in 5 months? Can we expect him to claw back 11 points on experienced, established managers like Sarri and Pochettino? Can we expect him to beat PSG in the Champions League? What can he actually achieve in 5 months? And his only Premier League job was a failure against Cardiff.
Well, this is it. He tried it in the Premier League and he didn't do very well. It's a bizarre choice from me. Honestly, I don't see where Solskjaer's come from. I got nothing else to say because the thing is, at the moment, he's not exactly playing it, managing it at an elite level with elite players. So it's kind of like, yes, he's got some managerial experience, but is it enough for Manchester United? Why would he leave his job to come in for a couple of months? Then what's he going to do after? Because he's not going to get the job long term. I doubt it very much. So, I mean, where do you stand on Solskjaer? Do you think he should come in for a few months?
I think you've got to look at it on different things. And I think if you're saying to me, United have looked at the situation and gone, look, we can't get who we need till the summer. Do we stick with Mourinho till the summer, or do we get Solskjaer for 5 months? And I think the damage that Mourinho was doing, I would go Solskjaer. But I do agree with you that it's not really what I want, but I'd prefer it to Mourinho. I think we're almost saying to Solskjaer, look, manage Manchester United for 5 months and see how it goes. There's no pressure on you. And the real appointments in the summer. So we're almost just sort of like we're rolling a dice and saying, well, let's see what happens. We're not going to get relegated. And we're relying a lot on players by saying, look, You've got to step up to the plate now. You can use the Mourinho excuse, but you can't use that with Solskjaer because he ain't going to park the bus. So it's an interesting one. I don't think we're getting top 4. I do think we'll get knocked out by PSG, and that was going to happen under Mourinho anyway. But we might get entertained over the next 5 months. But I still think you can't give him the job full time. No. And it's who we're looking at in the summer that interests me.
Honestly, I just think at the moment, whoever comes in, there's no expectations right now. None.
So you come
in. Yeah, I think even if, not that we want it to, but if United started playing a brand of football that was attractive and scored some goals, but even if they conceded because they're not focusing so much on the defence, even if United finished bottom half of the table, I don't know, 11th or 12th, but they were playing a better style of football, I don't think anyone would complain too much, because at the end of the day, top 4 is already gone. What's the point? It's not like we're going to throw everything in and start playing Young and Valencia every game with Matic sat behind the midfielders being slow and boring again. That's gone. I think whoever comes in now has got a clean slate. You can pretty much say, well, there's no pressure on me to go into the top 4 because we're so far away anyway. I've got to work with what I got. Okay, let's maybe play some youth. Let's play a different style of football. Let's bring some of the players in. Martial should be starting week in, week out. Delo needs some experience. Bring him in. Bailly and Lindelof, start playing them as a double all the time instead of Smalling and Jones. I just think it's a time for this new manager to try something new. I think if it turns out that the new manager starts playing with the same players Mourinho's picking, you've then got to start questioning the playing staff and saying, actually, do we have the quality in the squad?
Exactly. I mean, that was one other thing I was going to say, and you've just nailed it there, is that the most interesting thing is going to be the teams that he picks against Cardiff and against Huddersfield and against Bournemouth, because if we still see Fellaini and Matic in the midfield, you can't really go in on Mourinho, because Solskjaer's background is not pragmatic defensive football. So why is he still picking the Mourinho team? What we should be seeing on Saturday is, like you say, Delo and Shaw as his fullbacks, Eric Bailly as a centre-back, Fred and Pogba in the midfield, Martial on the left, maybe even Rashford up front and Lukaku on the bench. It's going to be massively, when that team hits at 4:15 on Friday or 4:30, whatever time we're kicking off, for the hour before, that's going to be massively interesting, because if we do see Fellaini and Matic in the midfield, you're suddenly like, whoa, what's going wrong at that club that even a new manager's still doing this?
And that's the point. I think when the new manager comes in, if he's still picking those types of players, you've then got to question whatever's going on in the background. But I think it's really important right now that we all reserve judgment and let the new manager or the caretaker just do their job and do what they need to do. And then we'll start assessing later on in the season. Because right now, I think everyone's probably... There's a bit of... Everyone's on a high and they're excited to say, where are we going? But it's also a bit like, well, we're not really anywhere at the moment. We're in limbo.
Exactly. Well, thanks for coming on, pal. Really appreciate it. And a lot of people saying love the voice. It's not on enough. So really appreciate you coming on, and really good points.
Thanks, man. And good luck for the rest of the show.
Cheers, pal. He says good luck for the rest of the show, but we have been live for 2 hours, and I've got a very, very funny feeling that Solskjaer's going to be announced in the next sort of half an hour to an hour. So I'm wary that, I've been live for 2 hours. I'd like to get something to eat and speak to my family a little bit. So I'm going to end the stream in the next minute or so and get a bit of a break. And if Solskjaer is announced tonight, we'll be back live, and we'll be talking about what Solskjaer would bring, because a lot of you won't know what his style of football is and stuff like that, and I do, because I've already done research. So we'll be talking about that for you. But thanks everyone for watching. We've maintained over 9,000 people watching for over 2 hours, which just shows to me that, one, the United Stand is the place to be when you want to talk about Manchester United, and two, most importantly, Manchester United matches to you as much as it does to us, and we've got what we wanted. And I think we're in for a very, very interesting 6 months, even an interesting 9 months. I think all the way through to the start of next season, it's going to be very interesting for Manchester United. 2 transfer windows, potentially 2 managers, 1 interim, 1 permanent. It's a very exciting team. It's a very exciting time. The players need to step forward, but we've got some positivity back in our lives, and I think that's the great thing. Thanks everyone for watching. Please do drop a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, bottom right hand corner, and make sure you got your notifications on, because we could be live in 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, or tomorrow morning. But we will go live as soon as the interim manager has been appointed, and when we're live talking about that, we'll tell you what that manager is going to bring to this club based on their history and their tactics previously. Thanks everyone for watching. Really enjoyed it. Praveen Thomas says failing to land Griezmann and Pulisic was the beginning of the downfall. We panicked and bought Lukaku and Sanchez. I think you mean, Perisic, not Pulisic. Sorry, I've read it wrong. You're right. You know, there's a lot of things we can digest as going wrong in the last couple of years, but it's over. We need to look forward. We need to look forward now. The past is gone. Mourinho is gone. We go forward. I'll speak to you all soon, probably in a little bit. Thanks for watching.